practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden messages.
We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn, and I have a full show today, amazingly enough. And none of the original people that were supposed to be on the show are here, so it's one of those classic Adam Dunn style shows. We were originally going to have Grow Life on, our latest sponsor, and unfortunately it's the end of the quarter, and they're a real business, and they actually sit around and like do businessy stuff, you know what I mean? Not like us stoner guys be like, end of a what? Quarter? You smoked the whole quarter? Holy fuck. We just got that, you know? But no. They are at the end of their quarters, so they're about to. They're going to come on next week, but luckily, and it's always like that because we're in Denver, so fucking people show up all the time. Luckily, Jesse Lopez is in town from Imperial Hemp, and he brought along Alicia from
Arizona.
I know what the name of the company.
Tap Agency Collective.
Tap Agency Collective, and so we're going to chat with them. They're basically on the hemp tip, like I am sometimes. Sometimes I'm on the hemp tip. Sometimes I'm on the weed tip. Well, I'm always on the weed tip. But in general, we'll talk about hemp and some obviously cool shit going on all around the country. Because 3 years ago, we were talking like, here's one field, here's 2 fields, here's 3 fields. But now we're talking like there's fields everywhere. Yes. And the quality's getting higher. Everything about it. So we'll chat about that. Then we got Leo from Aficionado calling in. We'll chat with him for a little bit. He's got some crazy drops that he's been putting out. And we will have Hazel from Emerald Cup calling in because it's coming up quick. It's only a few months away. And we're going to chat with her. And I'm sure her head's spinning because, Hazel's in charge of all the vending and all the...
And they're sold out. Already.
And they sold out like before they even started.
Boots, basically.
It was like literally like a boy band concert or something. Sold out. Like, wow, really? That many people?
Well, last year's event was amazing. So
Get closer to the mic.
I said last
year's
event.
There you go. Fat Joe style. See? Look how much better it sounds. It sounds so much better.
I was leaning back.
You've never been called Fat Joe before, right?
Oh, every single day of my life growing up. But
I bet.
But Hazel does a good job with that event, so I can see why her head is about to explode, I'm sure.
I'm sure. And then we have Thunderfudge calling in later and give us a little lowdown on... He's got a lot of history, and he's going to give me what I've heard. I'm not sure we haven't talked about it yet, but get a little bit about the Lemon Larry kind of history a little bit, because that kind of went kind of haywire, that particular strain, I think. Yeah. Because I don't think I've ever even seen the real one. Because I know what I got just fucking drove me nuts.
I saw some stuff at the last Emerald Cup that was pretty amazing, and I believe it was the same thing. And it was just,
Well, yeah, and he'll give us a little history on that. Of course, 420 calling in James Bean, man on the scene, calling in at 420 as usual. Last time he called me at 420, I wasn't even on the show, and it was just like this guy was on point. For once in his life, he called me exactly at the right time. Yep. I was like, dude, I'm not even doing the show today. You're not listening to it, obviously, but he is now. Yeah. So, well, cool. And then before we start, let's ask, because we didn't see you last week, or me. I mean, none of us were here last week.
Right.
How did everything go?
Good.
Yeah, it was good? Okay. No problems?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you had to go to it was doctors and
it was
things.
a doctor's thing, and then that ended up being.
Oh, was it a lie? Was this a lie? You're just trying to get it?
No. No, it was doctor stuff, and it ended up being all good.
Oh, good.
Yep.
That's always a good thing.
For sure.
So, we're back in town, and this is getting close. Okay, so next week we will be in October, and the whole month of October we're going to be focusing on one of our latest sponsors, Mr. Ron Wallace from the WOW formula, Mr. Giant Pumpkin Guy himself. You know who I'm talking about? Oh, yeah, this guy's the man. You know the Giant Pumpkin guys?
Yes.
Okay, so this guy, Ron Wallace, he's now sponsoring the show, and didn't win this year, unfortunately, but he was 2 years ago. He was a world record holder at that point, and he just is always that he's like in the top 3 at all times. And it's such a highly competitive thing, the whole pumpkin deal. And it's it's so different than cannabis because cannabis is so useful and pumpkins are so useless. But they have so many crossover things too. It's like, obviously, it's about growing the biggest sometimes, but we're going for the best. I mean, cannabis people, fuck the biggest, we want the best. But, still we're all enamored by big. Like if you see a giant plant, you're like, holy fuck, that's a big plant. Now everybody's spoiled, so they see a big plant, they're like, man, it's all mids, bro, it sucks. It's like, it's all big. It's like, okay, everybody who didn't have giant plants 5 years ago, but now all of a sudden it's like nothing. Like, 20-foot plant, it's all mids, bro.
All the Oregon guys.
Yeah, and it's, those guys kill it.
Yeah, it's massive out there. The last trip I was out there, I saw a 22-foot diameter by like 18 feet tall, and it was like I think 18-pounder or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like peaking it out at that point. I mean, that's pretty much. They're like the Mullumbimby Madness is like about the biggest plant out there, and that's like a 20-footer. Yeah. So it seems to be like that's the peak that we can get to. It's awesome to see, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's like when you're on a 10-foot ladder, and then you're like not even close to the top. It's like, holy shit.
I'm sure that pumpkin tastes like shit, even though it's like a massive, huge pumpkin. But at the same time,
you still want to grow
this big batch of weed may not be the best, but it is still beautiful to see.
Well, now we can make hash out of it.
Stuff. Yeah,
so exactly. It's like, fuck how big the plant is. We're just looking at the extract. How's the trikes? Yeah. But no, those pumpkins grow 50 pounds a day at certain points. Like when they're peaking out, that's up to 50, 55 pounds in a day. So you're just like, damn, that's like small child every day, like just growing on this thing, and not even a baby. Yeah. So it's like, anyway, we're gonna have him on the show. I think weekly is the plan. I don't know if we'll be able to pull it off, but I want to get like the kind of. I think it's even to the point where he's actually, he's already harvested and everything, so it won't be like we'll be able to follow him up to the thing. But I just want to have him on weekly because it's that month. October is all pumpkin month, so we'll have him on for a whole show. But I'm just gonna have little snippets. And then, of course, Halloween coming up too. It's my favorite month. That's the only thing about it. It's like usually, you harvest your weed and then in that month, and then you got Halloween right after that. It's back to back. Can't beat it, right?
Yeah, it's always the best month for me.
Gourds on gourds. We're
gonna do a haunted house in here.
Are you? Well,
yeah, we have a glass. We're gonna do a glass show. We have. At this point in time, we've already got. Let me see. I think I could probably pull it up. Got a shitload of artists already, and let's see, house. I guess we got Voorhees, Worm, Pogo, which I'm wearing, Lunchbox, Jeremiah, Christian Luginger, Brain Freeze, Merc, Pedro, Graham, not Page. Sorry, I say his real name. Oh no, Dina, Dogfish, and Fish. At this point in time, that's how many artists we have right now. We're having more. I think 3 more are already confirmed. I don't know who they are exactly.
That's full.
But they're coming. So it's going to be cool. Yeah. It's going to be a big show.
Did you run out of room on the flyer?
I haven't even thought about the flyer yet. But it's going to be it's going to be the one you have to go because all these names are also good names. And then on top of that, we're going to force you to go through the haunted house to see the show. So it's like meaning you got to pay for it. So it's even better. It's like the best show ever. You're just going to pay me to go look at the shit. So at least I know I'm making some money. But, in haunted house fashion, and stoner haunted house fashion, you will get your $10 worth. I guarantee you. It's going to be one of those things.
Plus, you'll be able to hang out with you for a little bit. So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can be dressed up as anything. It's one of those things, too. You don't even know if you're hanging out.
How are you going to hide the beard?
No, there's plenty of costumes that can hide the beard. I might even shave it. I've been known to just go, who cares? It's Halloween. I'll fucking do it. I did it last year. I did it last year for the Joker. Yep. And I actually did it a little bit before, but then I was like, might as well keep it and then use that. And then, once you got makeup and no beard, you've got it covered. Anyway, Haunted House Glass Show is going to be a 6-day event from the 20, I believe, what would that be, 22nd to the 31st, something like that? No, that'd be 8, 9, I don't know, whatever, 23rd, something like that. In that week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, boom, just in a row every day, cranking out just like all those other haunted houses, but way more fun. Leaf blower will be utilized.
Yes,
I guarantee it.
That's one of my favorite things.
So nice. I mean, that's pretty much the whole win. It's like,
no
that's
catching
it.
On fire
win on that. When all the smoke is weed, it's way better haunted house because all those haunted houses is a big fucking smoke fest usually because you walk through, you can't see shit, and they got the smoke machine going off. But if it was, and then everybody's brain is going, man, if that was just weed, So
you know what?
We'll make it happen.
It's a little different to have the actual just haunted house than a sesh or like a little party. Mm-hmm. It's more fun. Everybody gets to dress up, walk through, get scared, the whole thing, and plus you're gonna have shout out to Mert, one of my favorite pieces and artists. Everybody else on there is awesome, but definitely got a shout out to him.
Right. No, and like I said, there's 3 more confirmed, and then a bunch more kind of, because everybody wants to say, I only want 1 or 2 pieces. I don't want people to give me a whole show. And then down here, when you turn all these lights off, perfect black light spot. So I'm going to set this all up nice.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Yep, should be cool. So if you're in town on those days, if you're in Denver, come on through, check that out. Also got a show from Puke and Beagle on the 13th, which is next Friday, right? No, 2 Fridays. Sorry, 2 Fridays from now.
Yeah.
2 Fridays. So if you're in town, and Puke and Beagle's just crushing it right now with all they got every kind of possible nail combo that you ever wanted, and they're going to be doing all firsts here, and it's a 1 day, so it'll be a pretty good show.
Wow.
Because at first they said, oh yeah, we could do all seconds, and I was like, that's not a show. I can't have a seconds. So they said, oh, well, we can do 1 day. We can't leave anything. I was like, that's even better. Got to be here on the day. There's no show after that. It's just a 1 day. Hit and run.
Yeah.
So tell us, so let's get into hemp now. Let's start talking hemp. First of all, I know your story pretty well, so I mean, we can go back and forth. Just met Alicia, and I realized that you guys actually only met, you said 7 months ago? Is that meeting, or that's just starting work together?
We started working together 7
so you guys
weeks
actually,
ago.
7 weeks ago even.
Yeah,
even less.
we started a company, and basically with my side of things, dealing with a large portion of the hemp industry and facilitating the actual structure of how we're going to utilize it in America is really hard. And right now, with the industry going the way that it is, I'm getting literally over 100 communications, whether it's email, phone calls, text messages, and people are trying to they're figuring out, whoa, I guess the cannabis industry is not just marijuana, and now the opening of the industrial side is happening. So I need somebody to kind of filter and go through these things, and Alicia has an amazing talent and knack for that, and so that's what the TAP agency is essentially, is a filter system that will sustain itself through our network of individuals by developing those businesses and making sure that we keep a closed loop system and really push forward with it. So it's a real collective model where multiple businesses will be working together to sustain it and make sure that we start adding validity to hemp. We got the proof on marijuana. We have everybody who's excited about that, but let's start using building materials and plastics and doing what we've been talking about forever. Yeah,
and it's great. Isn't it kind of awesome when you finally get to see American-made hemp products and you're like, oh, wow, this is so, it's starting to, and it's going to happen like a watershed moment where, we actually have tonnage of materials to work with, and we have products that are viable. Because that's the hardest part is in Holland, when I worked for Hemp Flax, their only product that really worked was their horse bedding. Yeah. And it was kind of like, you looked at it, it was like, there's nothing there. It's just broken up hemp. And you're like, okay, well, that's pretty easy of a product as far as, you just had to bail it up. But at the same time, it was also super expensive compared to what it was trying to compete with. And that's kind of the hardest part, where if you come out with something that's 2 to 3 times as expensive, it better work 2 to 3 times as good. Which that did. Luckily, as horse bedding, it lasted. You could show on paper that it was worth it. Yeah. But they only could sell it to the royal family or something. Because people are just like, it's expensive. And now, it's as funny as that is. Germany is now putting together a huge hemp bedding company just made for pets in different capacities. They're even looking at the potential of actually creating hemp beds for dogs, like the current dog beds that they have that are cushions, but alter that out of the actual hemp plant. So there's a lot of modifications and things. Like you said, we need to bring back the reality of what hemp is. There's always that conversation with Jack's book and all the other stuff that's out there that, hemp can be these things. Well, it is these things. It's not, it can be. We're just the only industrialized country who doesn't utilize it. And that's the biggest hard downfall when we see, the things that are going on with just Earth right now in nature. Those are little things that we can start to decrease just by decreasing the carbon, by adding a plant that breathes it better. Well, just growing it, first of all. And that's the cool part about it, is that you're sequestering CO2 just by the growth of it, first of all, because plants are sucking it in. Everything's going to town. But at the end, it's locking it up in carbon and being able to then be used in whatever product it goes down, from that point on. And hemp just is really And that's the cool part about when I got involved is I was just like, this thing seems pretty amazing, you know what I mean? But it hadn't been proven, and that was Jack's whole point of his $100,000 challenge to the world was, you know, the only way to figure it out is to do it. So it was almost like he was tricking you to say, like, you know, okay, well, prove me wrong means you need to fucking, first of all, you got to legalize it. Then you got to grow it, you know what I mean? And then you got to process it. And we're at that weird phase now where we've been growing enough to maybe actually make something for once, but even at that point, if it turned into something really productive, we'd probably run out of hemp pretty fast too.
That is exactly why it is so important for us to start to work with the legislators and start working with the corporations so we can understand what their need is, what the demand is for that. Obviously, like for us in the regular world, we want to see it happen because of the actual beneficial attributes. But beyond those attributes, we really need to be focused in on fixing the current companies that are doing the negative side of things that are what we are always talking about, you know, global warming and all this pollutants and all this other stuff. Well, I understand big business needs to rip people off. Like, I totally get it. I've been in business for years. I've seen the companies come and go in this industry, and I've seen everything from night and day happen in front of my face. And the unfortunate side is these companies that are out there do want to profit off of their greed and want to go after that greedy mentality. And what becomes the issue with that is that they continue to cycle and perpetuate the negative. Well, we can replace those additives, those substitutions, and make them a better product, and then they can still get that same dollar or even more because now they can rate that little silly sticker that says sustainable on it.
Yeah, and when it's U.S. made and it's got the backing of, like, all of a sudden, you know, farmers and it trickle down. I mean, it is the perfect formula. We know that. Now it's just utilizing it, getting it in the right hands. What have you been seeing since? I mean, I know you and I have we get the same phone calls from people all the time. Looking for a farm. I'm doing this, and every time it's like, you know, the seed is the issue. Yeah. It's the number one issue. Have you kind of sealed that? Have you figured that out? Beyond Europe and stuff? I mean, because we can always go to Europe and get some source and material and stuff, but
we actually have implemented new interstate rules that will be being pushed forward on the new batch of legislation so that states can actually work with other states. Right now, it's a basic don't cross that county lines because we don't want to get busted with the feds. But when I had that conversation with them, I go, hey, you guys wrote a marijuana legislation. You've already butted heads with the feds. Like, I don't understand why you're not going to then go that little step further. Because at the current time, if the DEA wants to kick in any of our doors, they absolutely can. It's not federal. But if we know that, and we've already gone forth and we've done the $5.5 billion taxation in this state, and we can prove those taxations upon other states, then it's the requirement for these individuals to start writing that mandate and saying, hey, Colorado should be able to transport this to Arizona, Nevada, or whatever other places.
Oh, no, especially the seed. And even the crazy part is you can't. I mean, obviously, once it's a finished product, we can move across state lines, but the raw material, for instance, I mean, you can't, like if you're next to North Carolina and there's that decorticator right there, you can't use it if you're not a state, even if you're like, you know, a mile over the border, then what are you going to do? You can't move it.
And we won't get into that specific brand or name, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm just using that as an example.
And no, you're absolutely correct. In fact, it was a conversation that Alicia and myself, right now, we're going through a lot of education. I'm learning a lot of what she does. She's learning a lot of what I do. And it's a lot for both of us to entail. And that was one of the exact questions she had for me was, why don't we have this? And I said, well, because unfortunately the only decortication machine that we have isn't running and it's not processed anything. It actually has like the components to turn it on, like laying on the floor next to it instead of like inside of it working. And those are the issues that we, as the hemp community, are really combating. A large portion of the hemp community, which you can contest to this, is the old hippies who are like, man, it needs to be this way. And we're like, yeah, we see it. But the guys like yourself and myself who have seen it beyond that. I mean, Hoodlam is in amazing stores now. Hoodlam is a brand that I love to wear. I love to represent. It is something that we should not just only have one company doing. Not to say that you need a bunch of competition.
Yeah, that's all we need is one company. It's just one. But in reality, I 100% agree.
But that answers the question that you just had. We will run out of those things unless we start to create that interstate commerce and unless we start to create the ability for these current farmers to start to get another form of subsidy. So the state that you're in can say, oh, you want to transition out of cotton, you want to transition out of these other things. Here is a taxation benefit and credit from our state that you can receive at the end of the year, and those are the implementations that we're working. Unfortunately, it's not like as easy as it was with administering hemp on the last line of the bill for this state. You know what I mean? If it was that easy, we would have definitely moved forward. We finally just sealed the deal with
tell me about
New
that.
Mexico. So HB 0144 just finally got approval. We are signed off by the governor, and my partner Cedar Ortega and myself and our company Screaming Eagle Cannabis is now going to be the first hemp farm for that state. So we are looking at implementing the first plot will be like a 20-acre little lot, so we can get the growing cycle.
And that bill is just a hemp specific, or
it is hemp industry specific. So
Okay.
we are establishing it so that they can have a decorticator in time.
right? And so does that exclude CBD?
No, they still allowed for CBD, but they effectively want to see what it is that we're constantly talking about with the building materials, with the hemp battery, for example. Those
Sure.
are the things that they want to really start to dive into and have their state backing those types of products. The reason for that is this, the New Mexico State University has a professor that's working there right now who is very hemp friendly, and so he has his friends who he plays golf or whatever, you know, tea time with, and they've all now worked together in trying to incorporate this. So we have quite a bit of backing in the financial realm, as well as the businesses who are starting to see. When we can tell people like, yo, if you were just to build a simple papers factory, we can decrease like the cost of your overhead for paper because you're not paying so much for something that is being harvested so many times instead of the tree that took 30 years to get to. So those are the things that now they're starting to see. And it took me, my team, not just myself, primarily Jaron, my main business partner, Jaron Bettison, who really dives into all the numbers. And he's the one who calculates and accumulates all these numbers and said, look at how much loss has been going on in this paper sector on an already dying industry because we don't have the paper fields to keep growing this stuff. And now that's becoming the real issue, is the fact that we are missing out on nature when we have something that we can be harvesting and still give those proper nature attributes.
Right. He's wordy. He's
I
a
know.
wordy guy. He's like me. He's too much competition for me. Normally I'm the wordy guy around here, so you know that. Just so you know.
I'm enjoying the silence over here.
No, it's cool. So before you were telling me you're into holistic business,
Yeah, that's correct.
yeah, and that's an interesting concept because people think of holistic as medicine. People don't think of businesses needing medicine, but I think a lot of them are sick. There's a lot of sick businesses out there,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
Yeah, there
is that
are.
the concept? Like to go
Yeah,
with?
there's a concept that I learned of recently that kind of encapsulates what I do, and it's from a man named Dr. Stephen Hobbs, and he's in Calgary, and he has something called the Wealth Movement, WELLTH, and he talks about wealth being important on multiple levels, just like we are perhaps in the multiverse, and we have multiversal genetics that we don't understand and DNA that we have no idea where it came from. There's a lot of ways for us to look at total wealth in a business in a purely holistic sense. So there's a lot of businesses that, like Jesse said, want to switch gears and do something great for the planet. And I'm specifically an advocate for bees, so if it kills people or bees, and if it damages the food supply chain, it's a pretty easy line for me to draw. And it's been really nice to hear Jesse talking about sustainability so much in our conversations.
Yeah, that's like been a key element in all of. I mean, that's one of the things that's my little test thing with a lot of people, because any company that I want to work with you, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then my wife and I will both ask same question. It's like, oh, do you use any sustainable practices, whether it be whatever company it is, doesn't matter. And then if they kind of go like, what, then you're like, all right, we're probably not gonna be working with them, and it's just because that's how we like to work, because we think it's kind of more important than, because then we see that people understand why your stuff's either more expensive or it's got like more of a focus, or what, why you don't do what you like. Well, I don't do that because actually we have some sort of ethic that we follow, and and we get a lot of grief from people who are like, going for the cheaper thing every time, and it's like kind of at the end of the day you just get used to saying like, it's more expensive. You know what I mean? You just got to deal with it, because like hemp, that's the biggest problem is price by far. I mean, it's been my hurdle as a hemp guy forever. It's always been like, so why are your hats 3 times as expensive as the normal hats? Like, well, because they're not made in Bangladesh by children with no fingers, So that's kind of where we, but they're made in China, and I'm like, yeah, but I go to the factories and they're pretty nice. And actually, they're better than the factories you would get in Alabama or something like that. You know what I mean?
It upsets me so much when people downplay the hemp industry out there. Like it's like as primitive as possible. They're so more advanced than we are.
Well, the thing is, it's also pretty small. Like when you're actually there and you I mean, it's big, but it's also a small group compared to like the rest of the garment. And like you can take, like if you want to go jump around and shop around for different factories and you're not doing hemp, you can go pretty much gangbusters over there. You know what I mean? You don't have to like stay within a certain framework. You deal with hemp, and it's kind of mafia run in a way, as far as like they know how much hemp is grown. Everyone knows each other, and they all kind of play off of each other. We've had this as a business owner going to do business over there for years. My partner does most of it. I only went there a few times and like was like, no, it's not my style. But it was as cutthroat as it gets. I mean, literally, you know, after you leave the room, you find out that those guys just get back together and say like, all right, we got him this time. Boom, boom. You know, they just kind of like gang up on you. And so it's a hard struggle in that sense because it's real business.
And that is not sustainable. That is unsustainable. And it's a strange paradox, right, that you have an industry where your heart is in sustainability, but everyone's giant.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is that
egos.
Luckily, they recognize that hemp is such a big thing, and they keep doubling and tripling their production. So, if they didn't do that, we have nothing to actually show for it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like where I feel like China's still like, okay, I gotta pat them on the back for if they didn't exist, we would have some bogus hemp from like Poland and places that would just do these really like never known for their nice fabrics kind of places compared to China, kind of known for good fabric, you know what I mean? So in a way, I never felt bad working out of China because if you go there and you're new and you're small, you go to Vietnam. That's the new China, you know? So that's going to be like those conditions that you think of with, you know, way more sweat factory, you know, like little factories that are like super seedy and nasty, but get it to you cheap, you know what I mean? And we'll work with you on a 200 units or 300 units, but if you're in China, they're like, no, 50,000 unit. And you're like, fuck, 50. Like the guys who make my socks that we'd order 50,000, and they laugh at us because they make $1 million for the military every week. You know what I mean? Like every week we dump 1 million socks in the military. I'm like, just need 50,000 for the year. I'm done. You know what I mean? I'll be good.
The pothead army is a lot smaller. That's all you got to tell them.
Exactly.
It's a lot smaller.
So, you know, I kind of feel like China gets a bum rap for just being like, oh, it's such a shitty place. But if I would rather work there than India, places like that, because there's more like a lot more going on as far as like caste systems, and people aren't really, you know, in the factories we were in, there was like people sleeping on our shit all the time. That was the only thing I was always like, well, man, they're all sleeping on my stuff. You know, they come in and they'd be like, yeah, they love me because I have fur, big piles of fur everywhere, you know. So, compared to other people with little
going to work was nicer than
bikinis
home.
And skimpy dresses, they can't really lay out on those too comfy. But they're like, yeah, we'll do the same hoodlum stuff. But anyway, so sustainability is huge. Bees are super important. I like that. That's and so okay. So here we go. Let's go straight down the rabbit hole on that one. What's your feelings on glyphosate and all that stuff, and the whole bee depopulations? And
well, I'm not really into feelings this moment, so let's go ahead and talk science. You know, as an American, science is not a birthright. It's something you have to fight to receive. You have to search it out. You have to learn who to trust. And the people that I trust are the people on the ground, the people that are seeing with their own eyes over periods of time and cycles and seasons what's going on. The reality is that poisons kill things, and we are things. We are the, you know, people. We are creatures, and there's nothing positive about neurotoxins and all of that jazz.
And have you? Because I mean, I have friends in Ohio that had a organic farm that was surrounded by big ag, and they got completely, you know, railroaded in every way, shape, and form, like cancer. You know, got their farm pretty much like did everything that Monsanto and all the big companies could do to fuck them over, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh my God, you guys are like, you know, the horror story. But and the classic with the cross pollination, and then you know, here's your little letter, and you know, I was like, oh my God, they were. So that's kind of a big issue in the industry lately. Is obviously Hawthorne Group and all that, and you know, the takeover of the industry, and that's my only beef. And I told him, I was like, I respect big business coming in and taking over. I understand it's going to happen. It's just that one product. I'm like, I have such a bad, like, that to me seems like the most easy. Like, it's one thing. Just take that one thing
It's
away.
not even one thing. That's
now
the
it's
thing.
not anymore. Now it's Liberty.
Well, neonicotinoids. You know, neonicotinoids are like nicotine. Think nicotine. They were actually sold by an oil company not that long ago to the person who put them into production without any safety studies from the EPA. Not one was required. Went worldwide, and now that is a systemic neurotoxin. You use it once as they tell you to use it, and it's in the groundwater for 1,000 days. So you think that a tiny, tiny, tiny little insect that's like a quarter-inch big, and we're not talking honeybees that come and attack people. We're talking about bees that work on their own, forage on their own, live on their own. You know, they come and they're going to pollinate and try and find food, and all of a sudden all the stuff's sticking to them. There's no way they're going to live that long. They can't even navigate back to where they're going. So it's not just glyphosate. It's a whole class of those systemic neurotoxins called neonicotinoids.
Right.
And absolutely it's used in conventional farming. So,
well, that was the argument. I mean, that was the whole argument, is that they're only a small percentage because it is the sales to the public, basically, which I kind of feel is even worse, because those are like the most not used properly products. So.
Billions of dollars, like over $5 billion are made in selling products to people that kill all the pollinators of the things they're trying to grow. It's like a completely nonsensical business model, because what are you going to do when all of the little basic bees, all the native bees, which are like 80% of the population of bees, not just the bees in conventional farming, but what are you going to do when your neighborhood bees drop dead and your vegetable garden doesn't get pollinated, and all of a sudden you're like, why don't my seeds work? These are bad seeds. No, it's not your seeds. It's that your neighbor, halfway down the block decided to irrigate, and he happens to use this crazy pesticide, and now it's in your yard, and bees picked it up, and there you go. That's a real thing. That's not fake. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
So it's more about moving in a different direction, which is, organic, and there's a lot of products that are, booming on the market quite soon that are going to be helpful in that arena, but it's mostly education-based, right? For
sure, and it's also respect. People are just understanding like that shortcuts never work. It's interesting when you have a 5-year-old and you're trying to just teach him when he gets all scared about the bees, and I'm like, well, first of all, you got an open soda right there, and that's what he's going for. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about you. He cares about that. You know what I mean? Teach him that, and then he was like, now he's cool with it. But that's going to be Leo calling in from Aficionado.
Nice. Yeah, bees rule.
Bees rule. Yo, is that Leo?
Yo, it's Leo.
Hey, my friend.
Adam?
How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Had a meeting go late. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I didn't even. I also started a little bit late. Well, I actually started earlier than I said I was going to start, but later than I told you. So we met in the middle, as usual. So glad to get you back on the show. I got some in studio guests too. I got Jesse Lopez from Imperial Hemp. I think you guys have met, right? You met Leo?
I believe so.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah. How are you?
And
big ups, man.
And then I got his partner Alicia in also. Now, you where from originally? Are you from
Arizona originally? Yeah,
okay.
I'm from a farming family like Jesse.
Nice. Yeah. And those guys are partners.
Tap Agency Collective is the partnership.
And we were talking a bit of hemp, and we were talking about bees and pollinators, and that's one of her things that she's definitely involved in. And we're at that point, of course, talking about glyphosate and all the bullshit and chemicals and things, and it's kind of a rough one for. NorCal is a beautiful place, but it's also been fucking hammered by lots of people being stupid, lots of misuse of products everywhere. You know
Big
what I mean? And now everybody's all to the point where some people are getting caught up in the traps of like not even ever doing it themselves, but somehow they got a contaminated place.
You don't know whose farm was growing the previous time around, and a lot of these fields are like cash only. So you can go in there with like $25,000 in cash and just cash somebody out with a duffel bag, buy that land,
right?
And you don't know what they did to it last time. And these younger kids are excited about that. They're like, I got land.
So anyway, just so you know where we're at in our conversation there. But how are you doing, and how's that this year looking? I'm sure it was a beautiful one. Well.
It's a beautiful year up in Mendo and Humboldt. We've been spread all over the place, just trying to keep up with compliance.
Right.
And mostly just focusing on the breeding. The flower market here is really, just like, the environment right now, the market's really volatile. So everyone's kind of figuring out where they fit in and kind of how you're going to operate, because the industry is changing daily. So we've kind of just scaled back and focused on what we do best, which is just like making seeds and breeding and preserving the things that we've been working with. Because, you know, there's people are always going to need seeds, but it's crazy for us because we're traditionally, like, we love breeding. That's what we mainly do, but, like, we're growers at heart. So unless we're growing our crop, you know, we have our seed crop growing, but it's just not the same when you're growing, like, a ton of flower that, you know, thousands of people are going to enjoy. So it's kind of, it's different, you know, it's a different way of life because we always had the balance between, like, you know, crafting these really boutique flowers, and then we always had our seed patches, you know, where we do all our breeding, all our genetics, and our R&D. And now it's just straight genetics, production, and R&D. We don't have the flower production, you know, as much anymore because we're just trying. We kind of want to wait out, see what's going to happen to the industry here in NorCal and California. You know, everyone's freaking out up north.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the black market is completely fucking tanked. We're looking at, you know, people are moving outdoor for $400 or $500 a pound. People are moving fire depths for 10 to 11.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's crippling people. We're seeing more properties go up for sale than we've ever seen. So it's like we're trying to, like, really concentrate on our craft, but at the same time, we can't forget about the community, about the people that we live with. You know, and you know, we've been trying to help those people out and trying to, you know, give some people guidance because it's crazy where things are going. A lot of people are iffy. We know a lot of old schoolers that are bowing out of the industry. They're like, dude, I've been in it for 40 years. I got a bunch of properties. I won. I'm good. I'm leaving. Well, I'm still good.
Yeah, no,
we're seeing a lot of that, man.
It was already happening. I already saw it 2 years ago when I was at Emerald Cup. I could just feel it on people as they were walking around. I could see their heads like spinning. You know what I mean? They like leave in there with a fucking hurt neck because they just were, oh my God, what's going on? They were like, it's over, bro. It's over. You know, I could just see like it was
going away.
And it was always like, you know, guys in a leather jacket, a little bit awkward, don't come down very often. You know what I mean? They just came out for the first time. They're like, holy fuck, we got to change everything we're doing right now. And I could just see them on the way out. It was like a weird vibe on the way, like, because I was working with the booth right near the entrance. And so I really got that, like, end of the show vibe. Everyone was on their last booth checking it out, you know what I mean? And I could just tell there were certain people that were like, one guy would be standing in the back sweating, you know, and be like, he's having a conniption because he just figured out that he's going to lose out big time because it's just tanking. And that was only 2 years ago. And now you see, you know, like, as you see, it's happening like in front of our eyes. And it's crazy.
Is there something about a transition that a community should help prepare for? Like, is there an auto crowdfunder that should just go into effect when certain things go down?
Whoever's listening, somebody make that.
Right. Yeah. There'd be a lot of communities. There'd be a lot of communities hitting that button already. Like, brr, you know, it's like it's happening.
Well, and you know what? The unfortunate side was there were so many people that were out there who were supposed to be our leaders. And I'm not going to name anybody's name, but I used to work for a large company who was supposed to be a leader. And I mean, if you've been in the game for 50 years and you got that much skin, you should probably be like running shit. And they're still trying to figure out who's going to cut the next check. And it's just always like we never had the proper leaders in place to really start to ignite what is going to become of the industry. These types of things where people are falling out, yes, a community should have been banded together. And those essential leaders who helped write these laws and funded or did all these other stuff, that should have been part of the fundamental, like, writings into these laws and legislations that have been created. And because of funding or special interest or we're not sure about this yet or we don't know anything, they made us do it the way that we've done it. And now here we are, ass backwards, because normally feds write the law, then state regulates the law within their own state. This one was backwards. Now we're regulating whatever the hell we want to because the feds never gave us any kind of regulation. So if you want to grow in cocoa, you want to grow in greenhouse, you want to grow a light depth product opposed to an indoor or an outdoor, you have the ability to do that. There's no standard of operations in the cannabis industry, and that's what's causing this exact thing that you're talking about, where everybody's floundering, looking for what am I going to do next? Because they didn't get the standardization. We all know if you're in the food and beverage industry, these are the operations you must follow. If you're in the steel industry, that's what you got to do. In this industry, anything you want to do, you can grow it out of a cow's ass, I said one time. And that's a real thing. Like, nobody's going to question it. You can just be like, my granddad
did it.
You know what? Speaking of the cow's ass,
it will be, Adam.
The thing about it, Jesse,
I'm behind.
Jesse, you're right about something, and then the opposite in some strange sense is true also, that I see people being less healthy and taking the least amount of care of themselves that I've seen in a long time. I see people totally going off the track, like doing stupid things because I think maybe they're just not mentally healthy or physically healthy or emotionally healthy. And then, like, I don't know, you have all these social problems. So, like, that plus that equals, like, oh my gosh, we need a crowdfunder for sure.
She's a crowdfunding junkie right
Maybe
now.
I'll go into crowdfunding now. Yeah, it's my need.
I mean, really, truth be told, the cruel truth is that it's just the time where everybody has to acknowledge that we have to innovate, that the old way of doing things is no longer going to cut it. And so I'm just kind of like, rather than kind of dragging my feet, being upset about it, I just look at it, okay, all right, I'm going to acknowledge that, our community's at this step in our evolution. And so no longer can we do what we did last year to make money or 2 years ago. We have to operate differently. And I think that, this is just a natural, we're all a victim of circumstance. I hate to use the victim word, but really this is the circumstances in the cards that, our state and our neighborhoods have been dealt. And so I think that, if we want to survive, that, we'll push through and we'll innovate, we'll find a way to survive. But, a lot of people that don't want to, that are just over it, that, we'll see what happens, man. It's kind of...
I don't think so. I don't think so, though. I don't think you're just going to wait to see what happens. I think you're going to be, like, teaching other people how to be leaders. That's what I hear, like, in your voice. It's more like, yeah, a lot of people will do that because that's what we have to do. We have to observe each other and what happens. But honestly, what I hear in your voice and kind of what you're saying and what we're all saying here is it's more about finding your leadership voice and teaching other people how to do what you're doing the right way and use critical thinking, for God's sakes, and go to sleep every once in a while,
Like everybody's up 20 hours a day working.
Exactly, trying to hustle so hard.
Grinding away.
And we're all having too much sex, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
For a while, and then you implode.
Now, so how's the Emerald Cup looking for? We're going to have Hazel on in a little bit, so we're going to get the update. But obviously, you guys are gearing up for that.
We're excited about the Emerald Cup.
Yeah, and there's nothing in between really going on, is there? I mean, I got nothing else.
No, we're just, because we don't even know what we're going to release yet. We kind of have an idea, but until the season's done and we get to see the plants fully express themselves, then we'll be like, all right, now we know.
Right.
But as far as, this year, like Emerald Cup's always the craziest event, so we're just spending a lot of extra time, preparing for the event because, right now a lot of people are calling and we're finding out that, did you know that over 1,500, vendors didn't get booths this year at the Emerald Cup? There's like so many people applied and they only had so many spaces.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be unreal.
Right.
And like there's people flying in from all around the world. And we met a bunch of people in Spanibus, and there's cats flying from Italy, from Spain, from the UK, people mobbing over from France.
Yeah.
It's epic.
Well, it's interesting. It's like a little bit how Spanibus is because, Barcelona pulls people because it's Barcelona. So Spanibus actually got real quickly international, and people got, once they got into it, it was like, all right, I'm coming back every year. Bam, for that. You know what I mean? I think that's what it's getting that kind of it's getting that reputation where anybody in the industry is like, well, it's really the only one event that, that you feel like you can back up because it's also the perfect time of year and the perfect place. For me, it's perfect because it's fucking a little chilly. I got my hoodlums on the side. I'm like, yeah, I'm slagging. We're actually selling winter clothes in California. This is amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for the most part, it's like, everybody walks in with fat pockets and walks out with fucking next year's crop and next year's, genetics and fucking whatever swag else they picked up along the way. Probably mine. I'm the last. That's why I was the last booth. I was like, swag, I got your swag over here.
$5 grams.
It's cold outside.
$5 grams, dude.
$5 grams.
That's all I was doing, right? Yeah. I was just doing $5 bong hits at that point, right? I was like, that's it. That's all you get is bong hit. No.
And a picture.
No, none of that.
Santa
How's Frenchie doing?
Oh, Frenchie's good. He just left. We were scoping out a spot for his lab. We're trying to move to a bigger place where we could do more production.
Nice.
But he's doing good. He just got back from Morocco. He just saw fucking the THC guys. He went down there with the homie.
Yeah. And, Julian there.
Checked some things out and got to see the sea of. He got to see the ocean of plants.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't think he was going to come back. We were like, fuck. Reggie's in Morocco. He's not coming back.
Yeah, I saw the photos where it was. I mean, it was still a while ago, so I'm sure they must be really booming by now. But it was pretty funny because it was like, did you see those ones where it was like the farmer who just was crushing it, right? And he had all these like nice, and all the guys over there. You could just see the other plants were all looking super wimpy in the background. You're like, oh, those look swag. What's that? It's like, oh, that's what they used to have, and then this is their little patch, and you're like, they're just all looking at that guy's patch, like, what the fuck, dude? So yeah,
Like, damn.
it's nice in those situations to see things. Again, it's like at the perfect place, expressing plants going full out, being able to go until November, or the right time of year, because, up here it literally like just died up here. Like maybe Denver's been nice, but everywhere else in the States just went tanked. It's like 45 degrees and wet and cold, and you're like, fuck, well, that's not conducive to much except for PM. You know what I mean? So there's like shit. And but in the band, wherever you're at, which I mean, you guys are. So I'm always jealous of NorCal people. I'm always like, man, you guys got it. It's like living in the perfect environment, of course, But
I know this.
A lot of stress involved.
Perfect, though.
A lot of stress involved there. That's the problem. It's not if it's a perfect physical environment.
Well,
it might be
and it is right
environment.
now, but with obvious natural changes, we'll see things kind of go a little awry, and hopefully it remains the same triangle that we all grew up to love. I will miss Trinity if something was to happen out there, but we got to all be prepared for that. That's part of what this industry also needs to be kind of focused in on.
Like Alicia was saying, it's
Yes.
transition phase, and that's always a scary one and a hard one for everybody because it's like, fuck, nobody wants to get out of their comfort zone, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like, what,
What if we all start throwing challenges down for each other? Like, hey, whoever is about to make the next $1 billion in this industry, how about you
crowdfund?
or like, how about you
Crowdfund.
help move
I need
us
that
all
button.
out of areas where there's fires all the time? Or how about you help us all like transition to a new type of farm in a new type of area and actually get the fuck out of here? Because honestly, what's the benefit of going back continually and rebuilding continually? Isn't that like a sign or something that you should probably like look at the trend,
Right.
get yourself out of danger?
It's like we are the only, and I use air quotes when I say this, industry that doesn't have like analysts that are considered. We have people who are like, well, maybe the money is going to be there, but we don't have.
We have a lot of wannabe analysts, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
but they're only looking at it from what they can squeeze out of it. You know what I mean? And that's this industry is interesting because for like so in the hemp side, which is a bit weird because it should have been hemp first, and we should already be like fucking living in hemp and eating it and just everything should be normal. That would have made everything like made it just a regular thing. Instead, we went all hype, TMZ on everything. You know what I mean? Just like slapped it up. Everything's all just fucking whoop whoop.
Hemp dildos.
Exactly. Straight to hemp dildos. We didn't even. We skipped everything.
What about paper? Oh my
Straight there.
god.
No, but people in general, they just really hyped up the whole weed thing, and it's like everyone's smoking pens and everyone's into oil, and concentrate is like the game, and it's weird because it's such a transition for most people that they're like they don't even know where to begin or where they fit in that whole dichotomy anymore because growing it ain't shit if you're
as these new companies come in too, and all this new IP and different extraction methods come into play, where like we saw it with the distillate game, we saw it with a bunch of other things where now somebody has created a way to take the waste and turn it into some profit and some extra money, and as a result of being able to do these types of methods, you didn't have to grow the best of the best quality, as we said earlier. It could be that big 30 pounder plant.
Oh, it's just you notice the thing is it's always funny as a grower you see the trend because it's an angle that it happens in your head, and I had it with the pollinator when I first saw so Mila brought it over to my place, and I plugged it in, and I threw some weed in it, and I was seeing the good and the bad right out of the gate. I was like, oh, everyone's just going to throw their weed in this thing and roll their weed, and that's just going to be how weed's going to be soon. It's going to take all the keef out of it. And sure enough, like Rob Clark came and saw it. He thought the same thing. Because we're all like weed guys, so we know exactly where they're going to fucking scam you. It's like right there. That's where they're going to do it. They're going to roll it. And, sure enough, all the beasters that came down for years were rolled. You know what I mean? You could just tell. You'd be like, look at this stuff. It's like ridiculous. And that's the shitty part about the industry is that if you think it's happening, dude. It's already happening. You know what I mean? Like that is as bad as it is. Like I'm so amazed. Yeah. I'm so amazed that over here, people aren't doing the Dutch thing where they're just throwing all fucking just anything that weighs a lot into the weed that's going out wherever it's going. It hasn't happened. At least I haven't seen it. But in Europe, when I left, you had to like literally take your weed and put it into hot water to double check it if you were going to buy like a bunch of weed, because otherwise you put it in the water and you see like oil float to the top. You'd be like, what the fuck's that? You know what I mean? Or you see this little fucking specks fall to the bottom. And if it was real weed, it would just get kind of bigger and that would be it. And so I'd put a little of my weed in there and put a little of their weed in there. And 9 out of 10 times it was like contaminated. And you're like, this is bullshit.
I used that test last year after we went to one of the shows. Once again, I won't say the name. But after we went to a big show, there was a company who was like, oh, we made the best weed tumbler trimmer machine ever. So we went and we did it, and I did that same test after the weed came out of it to prove that the oil that they spray on the blade stays residually in the tissue. And so we did that test, and sure enough, oil separated from the water. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's real healthy, guys. Like, I hope you get your IPO and it goes real well. Like, good for you.
I hate when people spray Pam or any of that shit. And I'm like, oh, my God, dude, you do realize you just ruined all the trim coming out of that fucking thing. Whatever. They're just still too lazy to clean it or whatever. And it's like, actually, I was going to get Ryan on the show at some point. He's the guy who started the Centurion Pro. You know the whole story behind all that? Yeah. You know that guy at all, the Centurion?
No.
So we'll have him on the show in a couple of weeks. He's basically like the guy who actually invented the whole Twister idea before the Twister guys did, and then everyone just ripped his ass off. And he got his is like one of those, like, it should be a mini series because it's like, he got shot and it's like they just, it's a crazy story. But anyway, he literally like sat around for 7 years and designed that whole tumbler thing. And in a way is genius, because the first ones I saw, I was like, well, that's fucking saving a lot of work right there. But of course, every time he tried to make some fucking hash out of it, it was just terrible. Even when you didn't spray it with Pam or did anything like that, it's just something about it. It's always just kind of dark and swaggy. And so, you guys are all, all hand trim, and you have you're not playing around with anything like that, right?
No, we're all hand trim, and actually the trim job is something that a lot of people overlook. Just how you were talking about the oils that are on the scissors. A lot of people, there's no standards on how people are going to clean their scissors in between cuts.
Yeah, alcohol
stays on the plant.
Yeah, you got to use alcohol and clean it after that, and then start
all
again.
All day long, no oil. No oil in the mud, because it stays on and it affects the taste.
Yeah.
You feel like you're smoking a burrito, except for a joint.
Right. No, it is. It's definitely bad practice, and I've seen people do. Just people don't think about it, but that's like.
Well, and then there's like all these new ideas that are coming out. I saw some invention that this guy tried to pitch me, and it was like a wind blowing trimmer, and it's so like. I'm like, well, where does your keef go then? like, what are you doing there? You know what I mean? Like, you're just wait, what? Like, well, it trimmed the leaves. I get that, buddy, but do you not understand how cannabis really works? Because
just blew it away.
Ruined the rest of the shit.
You just blew it away.
It like blows it into this filter, and I'm like, okay, so like, how do we make what do we do to clean the filter? And he's like, well, we just took off all the dirt and stuff. And I was like, dirt and stuff?
Oh, my God.
I mean, like the crystals that we get high on? Like, I'll not smoke that leafy matter. Thank you very much.
No. The thing about trimming weed is one of those things where it just comes with the territory. And it's like, until there's like some other like laser or something like that. I'm just figuring that's the only thing I can imagine is that soon you just put it in a thing.
Yeah, like a laser guided AI, trim bot.
I'm down with that. We
need to train mice to only eat the leaf and not the actual bud, and there we go.
Little ducks. Tiny little baby ducks.
Something.
Baby ducks. That sounds like a plan right there. So,
ducks are nasty.
So Leo, you got some drops with James coming up? Because I'm going to have him in about 7 minutes calling in, so we might as well lead into that and have...
right on. He's calling in.
Yeah, he usually does a 420 call in, so that's like it's the James Bean Man on the Scene is the official title, actually. So,
James Bean.
Not the real James Bean, not the other James Bean, not the guy who stole his name and actually started a seed company based on the name. I was like, that is the craziest shit right there.
There's like too many of those.
No. Yeah, there's only one James Bean. James Bean now.
That's right. Yeah. So you got any? Didn't you have some crazy just went out the door and it was already gone? Already gone sale? Is that pretty much what we're talking about?
Yeah, it was crazy. I think 4 minutes sold out.
4 minutes.
Experienced anything like that? Like we James got his seeds and we were scratching our heads at the home. We're like, man, we never really seen seed sales move like crazy in September. So we were kind of like, all right, we'll see, how things trickle in. Dude, 4 minutes, like, blown away. Whatever James does with his followers and the people, it's just amazing clients. But we've never experienced anything like that, especially selling seeds like that in September. So something's definitely changing with the market. We wish we had more strains, but we just don't want to put any swag on, on the market. So like next week, the last of the Magnum Opus is going to go on the market. And that's the 11th generation Royal Fishback cross we worked on. And that's the end of the line for us as far as Royal Fish is concerned. We might make some crosses, but make some just really neat things and some of the generations that we've seen from 7 to 11. But as far as that, we're going to drop the last of it next week, along with the very last of, our new vanilla berry pie that, people seem to be pretty happy with. That's, worked out really good in testing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just cool, that we're making people happy, people that really like the strains, we just look at it like music, like, hey, I'm gonna mix these tunes, try to put this track together, and hopefully someone likes it, and sometimes, you feel miserably, sometimes the track really sucks, sometimes, like, the track or the strain really vibes with people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we'll see, like, every year we're trying to put something new out, so we'll see if, how it resonates with people, and if they connect with it while growing, because we just look at the growers as like, we're all growers too, and so like we don't want to let anybody down, because we wouldn't want to experience those emotions that ourselves as growers that are expecting, a certain level or a certain standard from certain seed companies. Because truth be told, we're kind of fucking nervous because there's a lot of really good breeders coming out nowadays. A lot of we're looking at Instagram. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing a lot of flame. There's a lot of this talent that wasn't here a few years ago is starting to surface, and a lot of the old talent that was here is starting to get better at their game, in my opinion. And so,
there's a lot of games stepping up lately. I've noticed too. It's also like the industry is getting to that point where the ones who've been doing it and know what they're doing are still playing hard, and then at this point in time they actually like, oh man, we have to get like super serious. So everyone else is at the level they were at. Oops, what's that? Is that Leo? We got him. Yeah. Is that?
Yes.
Okay, we had some crazy feedback from you.
Yeah.
Crazy feedback. So when you say you sold out in 4 minutes, it's not like you were selling like $30 packs either, right? These were like some serious, typical aficionado style, big dollar things, and you also gave some to charity. I heard that's kind of why the idea was. Is that? Or
so we released the last of the Thunderfudge Royal Fish 8. We're gonna be donating a portion of those profits to Emerald Mountain, so we could keep giving to them the top field funds. We had we was going to the fall, and I felt like, oh, it's got packs left that it's kind of just sitting on. So we auctioned those off, or we put those on the line, and so now we're going to be able. It's just nice to be able, like we missed Thunderfudge. It's good to be able to raise some money for his family, and his brother's still continuing his work, and, killing it. They almost lost the farm, and his Vanderbilt's brother was able to save the farm and save all this work that Vanderbilt worked his whole life for. So to still be able to generate some, the fact that the fans still really dig his work is gone. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's the best blessing in the world, more than charity. His name is still living. That was the ultimate goal.
Right.
It's like this dude was too bomb to be forgot about. He was too much of an OG for too hard. He sacrificed more than most people in the dope game would ever sacrifice. And he's been through it all. But unfortunately, probably was one of the reasons why he died at a young age. But the whole thing was for him to live on in these strains and keep living on. Because he did some amazing work, man. And people are still breeding with his work, and so that's the best part. That it's going to still be here. It's made that in 10 points.
Sure.
People still going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean that is the interesting part about being a breeder is that you kind of I think we're all compared to music because it's the easiest way to compare it to people, especially when you're a breeder because you're kind of giving it to people, and some people are actually better than you are. So it's just like producers, wow, you're a lot better DJ than I am. Actually, I'm just more of a producer. I kind of produce the music, and then I can't really DJ very much. You get people like that too, and then you get guys who can do it all. It's kind of like growers too. You get people who are good selectors, and they're good at hanging on to stuff and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, they're maybe not, focused on growing like people who just sit there and pound out all day long, fucking wait because they know what they're doing. That's all they focus on.
Yeah.
And you've got like 40 plants to take care of or 100 plants to take care of, and they're all finicky and different. You got no time to like almost make production at that point because really all your production is just testing anyway. So it's like all random and kind of all over the place. So a lot of times those producers are a little bit wacky. You know what I mean? Uh-oh, sounds like James is joining the party.
You do.
Is he in? Oh, there he goes. Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, Gino Messine, it's 420 time, my friend.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. 420 time. Well, we got Leo on the line.
Everybody out there?
What's that? On the line? No, just you guys on the line, and then we got in studio, we got Alicia, and I got Jesse, my friend Jesse Lopez. There you go.
Hola.
So, and on the line with me, we have Hazel from the Emerald Cup.
Oh my God! It's
Hi,
Kate.
everybody.
Hi, Hazel.
How are you?
Hazel's going nuts.
One of the hardest people.
This is going to be the
hardest people to get a hold of.
I know, actually, already.
He had to book me like 2 weeks in advance.
When I actually said your name right away, and then Jesse was like, "Oh, I have to ask her all these questions." I'm like, "Well, actually, we're on a show, so we have to wait till after maybe do that." But no problem. We can also just turn this into a Hazel's like work hour, like while you're on the show, half hour.
Half
work.
hour's not enough for that cup.
No,
not at all.
So how's it going?
No,
how's it going?
not at all.
Did you guys figure out like another location to go bigger now and just make it twice as big, or no? Doubled up? Did you double stack the whole
Not
place?
quite yet.
Did you build floors?
Did you build another floor?
Did you guys build
I
another
know.
floor?
We have looked at bringing in double-decker tents, but that's a huge expense.
Well, it might happen anyway. We're gonna have to work. We're working on it. Don't kill the idea yet.
Don't do that yet, Hazel. It could happen.
Could happen.
Okay.
This could be the real deal. So you got totally sold out. You got like people just stomping on hitting you up every day. I bet trying to figure out a way, huh?
Oh, constantly. The brides that are coming in. Hey, baby, can I get a booth?
It doesn't work.
I thought I sent you that text message. I'm sorry.
A lot of hey babies, a lot of dick pics. You're getting a lot of dick pics for free booths. And that's always a classy way to do it.
Oh my! I can only
thank
see a collage being
Only
made
if
already.
they're colas will it work.
Well, maybe next to it, so you could like compare sizes. Then it would be actually double size. You'd be like, well,
Dartboard.
Yeah.
and you can create lots of dartboards. So 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 besides all the booth stuff, how is it looking for like entertainment wise and everything? Is it everything sealed up? You guys are not freaking out or anything about that, or is it just
No, not at all.
Oh, good.
We're going to do a big unveil in the coming week, most likely.
Oh my God!
Our contest opens on Monday,
Really?
October 2nd.
Oh, good.
So for people that are looking to enter, head on over to the website, and there is actually an online form you can fill out now.
Cool.
It's pretty snazzy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but last year there was 1,000 entries?
Oh, I think we had over 1,000. It's kind of like trying to buy a toaster in the automotive department. I really only deal with vending and sponsorship. I know that sounds bad, but like that's a whole other world over there.
Yeah, well, something that big, you've got to delegate to people, and you've got to have people in the positions. Especially like the reason we like working with you guys so much in your cup is that like it's September. I have my booths and I have my numbers.
Yeah.
Like when I go to these other cups, it's like 2 days before Michigan. I'm like, hey, think I could get a booth number so I could promote, maybe, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have an amazing production team now. We've partnered with some great people that have we are lifting the bar so high, people are going to shit a brick. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's also.
How are my hoodies coming, Adam?
They'll be fine. They should be there. They should be coming up pretty soon because they're already hit California. So you will be probably getting them before we'll get our shit. Actually, if I think about it. So don't worry. You'll be warm and toasty. You guys will be warm and toasty. It's gearing up to be a good year. Obviously, we were just talking with Leo about it. And Leo said he knows people flying in from everywhere, which is kind of what you want. You want that reputation as like if someone's willing to buy a plane ticket from Spain and
we got our guys from
New
Spain
Zealand
coming
and
in.
everywhere coming up and down. So it'll be it's good. It's a nice time of year to be in that environment than having people that actually are over the fucking the big hump that they had to deal with. You know what I mean? Instead of catching. So we missed out in July to have all the stressed out people who couldn't leave their gardens for a fucking 24 hours without freaking out. You know what I mean? So I guess we avoided that bullet.
So wait, is Leo supposed to have a booth?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
Are you doing this to everybody?
My body hurts right now.
Don't cry.
Hazel.
That was awesome.
That's Hazel's joke of the month, I guess.
All the people you have to talk to and you have to put up with.
Well,
you must be a saint of some sort.
Yeah,
I don't
baby.
know, I couldn't do your job.
It's interesting. You know, it's about 15 hours a day. But it's what we have to do in order to make it happen.
Well, thank you.
And happen successfully and turn out like it always has. It's turned out to always be a winner. I mean, there's a hiccup here and there, but the nightmares I've seen this last season in Boston and Massachusetts and Michigan, just with promoters that are just, I mean, not new. You should know what you're doing right now.
I've been to the majority of the cups, Emerald and the others. In America, I can definitely contest to the fact that when I walk into the Emerald Cup, people are like, oh, that's Jesse, let's deal with what we need to, make sure he's taken to the booths or whatever I need to do. There's never any confusion. These other facilities, and some of these people hire the same teams over and over that are like, know your face and have seen you, and you still got to go through all the crap that you got to go through. It also brings a different caliber of individual, I think.
All I care about is, James, you got golf carts this year, right? Isn't that the deal? Isn't that what we're talking about? Because that's pretty much all
yeah, baby.
That's all I care about. I want to get up to that status. I mean, I'm like, every time I'm at a show and I see like golf carts zipping around, I'm like, man, I'm almost 50. I need a golf cart now. So I'm looking forward to.
You know, we really. Funding the cup is something that is, you know, it's a little bit difficult because we don't accept sponsorship money from large chemical nutrients. So we really have to depend on our amazing community versus the industry. And so with sponsors like Seeds Here Now, they've really stepped up and are helping to raise this cup to another level.
Oh, James.
So we appreciate our sponsors like that. Woo, doggy!
Big reach around stroke fest going on right now. Who's that on the line? Who we got?
I think it's Michael.
Was that
Michael?
Oh, is this Thunderfudge calling in already? Let's see. No. Hey, welcome to the Adam Dunn Show. Who we got? Who we got added to this crazy mix?
It's Wolf.
Oh, it's Mr. Wolfie Siegel.
What up, Wolf?
What up, Wolfie?
Rose.
I want to say something while you've got both of those guys, Leo and James there. Leo, I am in awe of you as a breeder, and James, what you did with that rose, you are one of the most honorable individuals I have ever dealt with, and anyone that ever asked me what seed company, it's Seeds Here Now.
I definitely appreciate that. You've been.
How much are you paying Wolfie right now? I know this is a paid event. This is a paid advertisement. It sounded so paid.
No, I want to tell you about this because this is amazing to me. James's crew, James hooked me up with a good deal on one of the packs of Leo's Roses Speciales, and they mailed me 0001, and I offered return it to James because that's a valuable package, just because it's a number, never mind the product. And he wouldn't take it back because it had left his hands, so he couldn't swear to the chain of custody. That's like.
So although I wanted it like a son of a bitch, and I knew it was mine and it was tagged for me, I couldn't take it back because it's left my hands. And so I told Wolf, I said, "It's yours. Congrats, you did it."
And
I can't.
you know, there's not a lot of people in this business with that kind of honor.
Appreciate the love, man. Thank you.
I definitely appreciate that too.
But yeah,
it's like I think Hazel hit on it earlier. There's an industry that's trying to infiltrate, and there's a small community left. And I think if we can try to raise up the community and keep the community intact, and at least doing things together, and the right people supporting those people, then the industry will still get in, but there will still be the community who will retain and still kind of run things. But
100%.
that's all I was.
Wow, you were on a soapbox
Yep.
when you said that? Were you on a soapbox when you said that?
I was not.
I'm imagining James in his garage.
It's the truth, though. It is the truth. It is the truth.
So it's shaping up to be
So,
good.
which reminds me, so if while we're sitting here mutually stroking,
yeah.
do I not see
Oh,
a
my.
Master Select booth coming at MLK?
A Sage Master Select will be at the Cup, yes, and then we'll be
Oh.
launching all sorts of new
And Everybody
things.
Loves Bodie?
And Everybody Loves Bodie. That whole series will come out too. So we'll have a whole little corner somewhere in your little 15 million booths. I don't know where I'll be. Be floating around. I'll be floating
we
around.
only have
I have a
about-
backpack. I'll have a backpack on. I'll be just slanging. Like one of these new kids. I'll show my
Oh,
Instagram.
man,
I'm gonna run around and show Instagram to everybody.
Any
Look.
backpack vendor?
Yeah,
Don't try it. You'll get
yeah.
your
You're
backpack cut.
I'm gonna be a
No,
backpack.
you're going to get spray painted.
You can use
Nice.
the hemp backpack. Go.
I'm going to walk. That's going to be my job this year is walking around spray painting backpack vendors.
Really? Wow, that's a cool fucking
That's
job.
actually
Yeah.
kind of.
You
That's
should do
funny.
it. You should get a paint gun for that, so you just splat them. You don't even need to.
You're like the PETA of the cannabis industry. That's kind of cool.
You know,
Out defending for the ones who can't defend for themselves because they're working the booth.
Get her some stickers.
Yeah.
Bright orange. Do a spray paint with a bright orange X.
Yep.
No.
oh, everyone's getting red scarlet.
And then we'll snatch all those backpacks and see really what kind of gear they have.
No, I don't want them.
Wow, snatching. What's going
Oh, someone
Yeah,
dropped
but,
off.
well, hey, listen.
on? Oh, was that Leo?
I think it was
But
Wolf.
yeah,
Oh, Wolf.
last year on the golf
Wolf,
cart,
Wolf
Wolf
dropped. What's going on?
Well, it was cool. I appreciate it going in. Wolf is, I mean, I'm a fan of Wolf. I mean, since he's an old school guy doing Centimiglia tips, we're talking that magazine, that whole thing was like 68. That was not groundbreaking, but legendary. It put a lot of people to where we are now. I mean, I would love to have a library of the old Centimiglia tips magazines. And I mean, just the four core writers. And we had Tom writing, you had Tom Alexander, you had Horace Left his writing, you had Ed Rosenthal's writing. I mean, I never came across the Cincinnati tips. I've just heard about them, but the whole magazine.
I used to carry it around with me in my backpack. I was always like, "Whoa." The thing about them is that they also didn't really specify cannabis, but it was always obviously cannabis. It was like it was kind of written so you could kind of like almost imagine it's every plant out there, but pretty much about weed. And I was like, oh, every day. And it's about weed.
And the fact that he did his little bit of time and has come back and still educated so many of us, that's like my hat is off to Wolf every single day of the year for never giving up on the fact that he's been tried to be shut down so many times. He's got some stuff going on in Puerto Rico and other things right now, and so good for him. Obviously not with right now the weather
I was gonna
out
say,
there,
I don't know. You should ask
but at least it did get headway, and he got a little notoriety for it. So I'm proud to hear his name again.
There you
It
go.
was through Wolf. Like when the guy who contacted me, who made the Northern Lights 11 strains, he contacted me. I'm like, most people I have to vet that they're using a number 5 cut. You're telling me you made all 11? So like, who do you go back to vet that guy through? Wolf Siegel. Wolf knew him. Wolf was like, yep, that's the guy. I was like, man, but he's so old. He's 92. He was doing that shit in the 70s. So how do you make sure that's
What
the
a
guy?
gangster.
Yeah.
We're not talking, Wolf's not
Very
92.
tough.
The other guy.
No, the other
Wolf's not 92.
No. The guy who made the Northern Lights 11 is like 92.
Yeah, it's. I mean, well, that's the thing is like a lot of like I love what Wolf was Farmer in the Sky because I remember his pen name. You know what I mean? And then when I met him, I was like, oh, you look like a guy who would be Farmer in the Sky. I could see it already. Like I was like, of course you imagine. He actually looks more like a writer. He got the writer. He looks more like a writer than any other writer I know. He looks perfect. It's designed for it.
That's going to segue us to our next guest, but Pinks and Perps.
Pinks and
Dr.
Perps.
Thunder.
Yes, and he's calling through you, or he's going to call us separately in a minute, or what's the deal?
No, he's going to call him direct.
Oh, good.
But you would not, hearing your name, Pinks and Perps and Chocolate Thunder, and then to meet the gentleman, you're like, huh, I thought something completely different.
Of course you would, though. You have a fucking, like, very obviously dirty mind right there, or at least, like, race. You're complete racist, basically. Is what you're trying to say.
No, we're not.
Yes. Well, it's okay.
Stealing jobs.
Stealing
It's
jobs.
always who you don't think it is. I mean, and especially when it comes to guys who are big internet known people too, because we all know if you've been on the internet long ass time, you could have been 14 when you started. You know what I mean? Like for sure. So it's never who you think it is. That's for sure. Hazel, what people contact you? I guess you don't even want no one to talk to you anymore, right? So you're just like, fuck it.
No dick pics.
Yeah.
There's no magic booths coming. There's no secret like, oh, we got 100 booths we didn't tell anybody about. Like, no, that ain't happening, right?
Behind door number 3.
No, unfortunately, I don't.
Okay. Because I thought you guys
I really
could take
wish
over.
we could accommodate. We got over 1,700 inquiries and applications.
Wow.
And I still have people every day, at least 5 to 6. Can I get in? How can I get in? But really, we are full to the max. And we've done some huge layout changes. One very exciting thing that I can tell you about is we've taken the display case out of the Hall of Flowers and given it its own home.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that's going to be really fun and awesome.
For those who don't know, the display case, first time I saw it was about 7 layers of plexiglass where they had all 700 entries laid out, number 1 through number 700, all spiraled around through 7 layers of plexi. And you could look in and see each entry and be like, oh, yes, that's clearly better than mine, or oh, I see that one. And so
is there dog hair in that one?
Or cat hair.
Or pubic hair.
Yeah, that's usually that's probably the spot the hair, spot the pubes contest.
It's like no one talks about it though. We all are traumatized, but no one talks about it.
It happens.
Because it happened. It has happened. That's why.
It's ridiculous.
And our VIPs are going to be absolutely amazing this year. We're going to have a non-215 VIP where you're going to be able to come in and get warm and cozy inside and have some cider and sit down. And then our 215 VIP is going to be absolutely fucking amazing. One of our largest sponsors is a band of Emerald Triangle farmers that have banded together. And so they'll be hosting the VIP with all of the lovely fruits of the triangle.
Nice.
Very nice.
Well, that sounds much more tempting than
I'm kind of
cider.
bummed I have to work.
It's like, got cider over here, and I got a lot more over there. Let's go with that spot. Well, that sounds awesome.
Hey, I have an idea. I was thinking, so many people are contacting you, right? And you have to just basically turn them away. It's maybe take this interview or whatever, or maybe like create a video and put it right on the homepage, and just do an auto respond to like the link of the video, and just let them know like, hey, guess what, everyone, thanks a lot. You made us like feel loved. Here's your name's going on a list. Here's the form, something like that.
Yeah, here's to the fallen people that didn't make it.
Just like cut to the chase, cut to the chase right on your homepage. Here's some free marketing advice. There you go.
I think Leo dropped.
We will also, though, we always do an auction booth. So we will auction off our last booth, and all of those proceeds go to charity.
Wow.
Last year it went for $9,000, and we donated it to Patients Out of Time and Project CBD.
Very cool. Which is something I want to throw in real quick as well. On Leo's last drop that sold out in 4 minutes, half of all the proceeds on the Royal 8 are going to his. Correct, Leo? Leo.
No, he bailed. He bailed. But you can tell the story.
He bailed.
You can tell the story.
But that is correct. So half of all the money that we get off the Mandelbot's Royal 8 is going to his son. I guess his son is in the hospital, and so and Mandelbot had a huge influence in Leo's upbringing, so to say, or his start. So for him to kick back all that is totally respectful and cool, and we're happy to do it as well. So that's just cool.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, we talked about it earlier, but he was kind of breaking up too, so I'm glad you kind of reiterated, because I was like, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, it just broke up right when he started to talk about what the whole cause was, and I was like, oh man, I blew it. I don't even know. I have no idea what he said.
Yeah, And that's the deal with the Magnum Opus is that was supposed to be none of us like final, like that was his final program. He wanted to see it brought back to like 10th or 11th time.
Right.
He didn't get a chance to stick around and see it. So I didn't know I was getting the last 25 packs. I thought there was still more after this, but if he says it's the last 25, then that's it. So
and that's the auction. That's going on the auction, or that already happened.
No, that'll be going. It depends what he wants to do with them, but most likely we'll go for a flat rate price on the site, and we'll just sell them as normal.
God. Well, that'll take like what 30,
know,
4. That'll
like
take
that,
like
it's things like that makes me
4 seconds. That'll be like 3 seconds later. Sold out. 2 seconds.
Well, that's the thing. So
Autobot.
morally, let's discuss that. If a breeder sends me 5 packs, and I know that those are the last 5 packs, do I auction them off and get top dollar for them and be a jerk and be like this money hungry guy, or do I say nope? I've got 5 packs. I'm going to sell them for what the breeder wants, and just the first 5 win.
Sure.
And we don't. That's why I don't.
Yeah, unless you're going to do it for a charity, then of course it's always cool to do it the other way, because then you can.
It's hard because sometimes I'm like, man, I could auction these things off and do this.
Oh man, but you're such
bullshit.
a good guy. Such a good guy, and he sponsored, and he took a big sponsorship with Hazel. So Hazel loves you now. Next year, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if she loves you next year. But she loves you now.
As long as he doesn't run me over in the golf cart.
Oh, he will, and he will.
He will. And be like, yo.
Oh, James is going to be a.
I'm just glad
Have you
I got
ever seen him
golf cart.
drive? Have you seen that guy drive?
Get him a driver.
Oh, yeah. You need a driver, James. No
Oh,
driving.
yes. Unfortunately, our insurance will not cover you Yahoo's driving. You will have a driver.
Are you kidding me? All right. I guess
That makes sense. Total sense. Good call.
That's good
Hazel.
though. James would be
Did
terrible.
the right thing.
I'll definitely be sweet talking somebody. I'll be behind that wheel. Don't you worry. At some point, I'll look over at Hazel. She's gonna go, "You bastard."
Nope.
Yeah, that guy's got to go.
You'll be
pee at
taking
some
a
point.
selfie while you're driving.
I'll definitely do some selfies. I'll send them. I'll forward them right away to her.
No, Hazel,
If you guys want to pimp out my golf cart, you're more than welcome to. We can throw
tell
some
us
subs
that.
on there.
What do you mean?
Do you remember Adam's limo? Don't tell us that. Like, don't. We will pimp it out.
I'm ready.
We will, like, I will call West Coast Customs or whatever the shit it was on MTV when I was a kid. That just dated me by anyways. But, we will pimp your ride. I'll put a fish in it or something.
Gross.
Pimp your golf cart.
I would love it. I think it'd be great. My one request is the little Mexican ball tassel hanging from the top.
Well, yeah, you're talking to
Classic.
Jesse.
Yeah, you're talking to Jesse Lopez.
Lopez.
I live 30
Lopez.
minutes from Nogales. I'm bringing him.
Lopez.
I will have him.
Lopez.
Orale, my friend. Orale.
Yeah, no, you're talking to Jesse Lopez. You're talking about dingle balls.
Yeah.
All day
You
long.
need dingle balls. We can bring them.
All day
Oh my
long.
God. I knew it.
All day long.
I think she has enough dingle balls.
I'm trying to make them out of hemp, people. That's
Dingle balls. Oh my
I'm
God.
bringing them back.
That would be cool.
That's so festive. That is
And a
so
sombrero,
festive.
please. I totally need to rock a sombrero.
I can see
So
you.
on that note,
You want one with the chips and the
category?
dip in them and the whole deal, or
What
whatever?
was that?
They got the special ones that hold the chips and the dip.
Oh my God.
That'd be great.
Oh my God. That's so
Stoner-
messy.
Stoner friendly. We did that. We had a party in Amsterdam. And there was a job of a midget to wear that and get real drunk. That was all his job was, is to wear a sombrero with chips in it and then stay in the corner and get super hammered. We gave him a tequila bottle and he got so hammered he just ended up in like a heap in the corner. People were taking dips out of him all day.
Oh my God.
And it was like, there's a midget under there. And they're like, no. I was like, yes, there
The
is.
video by Trinidad James.
That is crazy.
Good fun.
has
You
a-
won't find
has a
that at my
midget.
party. We don't do that.
It
at
wasn't
my
hard to
parties. My
convince the guy.
parties are like
He was English.
different.
He was an English guy.
But you know what? Jesse and I are going to throw parties.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Midgets.
Yeah,
Telling
midgets.
you. Kill it.
I'll have a bunch.
Next
We
to
don't
him?
call them midgets actually because they're friends. So we have
okay.
other names for them.
Cool. They're just, I forgot
But
their
you
name.
can meet our friends
I don't know
sometimes
that
if you're
name just
lucky.
yet, so I'm
Little-
still
little
saying
Tony.
it,
Yeah.
but
Little
yes.
Tony.
Yeah, no.
Telling you.
All right, so I'm bringing Hazel a midget in a sombrero with dingle balls. Is this correct?
Hemp
Dingle
chips
ball.
on the
Hemp
top.
dingle
And chips on the
balls.
top. In the
I
sombrero.
would also like to request
kind of
a
dip,
miniature
though?
donkey.
The what?
I actually, I used to own a
Oh, it was like a
miniature
cheese dip,
donkey.
of course.
Full board.
Yeah.
That can be done. You should know that's easy.
Or salsa.
So
Whatever.
American.
Named
We gotta go
Jose.
cheesy.
Cheese dip.
Cheesy. It's a whole cheesy event.
I like
Wow.
Jose. But yeah, I'll be bringing dingle balls. That's
Hemp
what we'll be
dingle
doing.
balls.
All right, we've got that figured out.
All right.
You're the dingle ball master. All right. Well, thanks, Hazel. I don't know if you're want to hang out with us much longer, but
Or is there anything you want to tell us about the show that we didn't cover?
no. Well, we know the dates the 9th and 10th, right? Still, nothing's changed. You didn't change the day on everybody.
Yep.
Freak everybody. All right, cool. Well, that's it.
No.
9th and 10th.
They've added shuttles this
Same
year?
place, right?
They've
We
added
didn't
shuttles?
change the place, did we? No,
Oh,
okay.
we are.
Check.
We are doing shuttles, which is super awesome. So you guys can get as hammered as you want.
Nice.
And we'll be going to all the major hotels. We're also partnering with Uber, I believe, and so there will be some discount codes for ride sharing.
Pink flamingo for you, right? All day.
Oh yeah, that's my Santa Rosa condo.
I know. If you want to find Hazel, she'll be at the Pink Flamingo. Just go there. You can find her.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lovely place. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I got there, they were having a rager. It was
It's fun.
it was weird. It was really
Oh my
weird.
God.
It was a weird
Did you
night.
take a photo?
What do you mean, the 12 o'clock call? Where's my room?
Yeah, when I took mushrooms and got to the wrong hotel, went to the
Yeah.
hotel that I stayed at 2 years ago, and
Classic.
I was in the computer on the same day 2 years ago, and they were like, "This is really weird, bro, but you're like here, but you're not here." I was like, "I am. I told you I was here." And, and then at one point, I was tripping, and I thought about it, and I was like, "Wait a minute, do you think maybe I'm possibly at the wrong place?" And I looked, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely at the wrong place." Do you know the Pink Flamingo? And I was like tripping. That's not a good thing to ask for. They're like, "Oh yeah, maybe there." And it was like, "Yeah, I'm an idiot." And I sat there for like an hour. I was like there for an hour. And,
Arguing.
yeah, and I had her get on the phone and tell him, "He's right in front of you."
Yeah. And he kept yelling at people.
She said, "He's right in front of you." And I was like, yeah, I'm right here. But no one, it was just like the weirdest thing because she's yelling at a guy over at another place saying, "I'm right in front of him." And I'm saying, "I'm right in front of him." And it was like weird. Yeah, it was weird.
I'm trying
We
so
take
hard
care
to
of our
laugh now.
family.
Is that Leo again, or is that somebody else?
It's someone else, I think.
Who we got now? We got Welcome to the Adam Dunn Show. Who we got?
How's it going?
Who's that?
This is Dunn.
Oh, the Pinks and Pervs is here. Okay, well, so welcome to our 3rd or 9th guest. I know we have a lot of guests today. We've had a lot of guests.
I am actually going to bounce because
All right.
I have another appointment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was absolutely marvelous.
Yep. We're going to work on the donkey, the sombrero, and the dingle balls.
I'm bringing it.
We'll let you know.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Hazel.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right, so we got Pinks and
She was
Pervs,
really
a.k.a.
It was
Thunderfudge,
a hard job.
on the phone. And we also have to go and do our shout-outs right now, too. So maybe we'll have him hang on for a second. We'll do our shout-outs. We're already doing seats here now for like about an hour now, so that you're done. James, we did you. You got any big specials besides 4-minute sales that nobody can get in on because you got Autobots or something? What do you got, like weed Autobots rolling with your thing now, or what's going on?
No, what happens is I can see that people have the traffic on my site, so we'll have 245 people just like sitting on my site waiting to click.
Hovering.
And as soon as 420 happens, like I've got 5 packs, and so like I tell my breeders, that means 240 people are going to be pissed that they didn't get it.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to give me more than 5 packs.
I would hope
But
so.
I don't. At the same time, I have morals, and so I won't just go auction those 5 packs.
I
because
gotcha.
That would be shitty.
I gotcha.
And so the guys get them. But this month sees us in Maine for NECAN in the middle of December or middle of October, and then we're going to be at Indo Grow Expo in Denver at the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
To where 2 will be doing a breeding panel, TSK.
Yeah, I think I have to go do something there too now, or I don't know. We'll
Yep,
see.
so that's us for October, just those 2 shows. Because it's Croptober, nobody usually does shows in October. That way they don't have to leave their houses. But
Right.
we'll do these 2. And then, of course, gearing up for Big Emerald Cup. But,
And I'll be at that main one too, so there you go. We're
are you going to be in Maine on the 14th, 15th?
Uh-huh. So there you go.
All right.
I think so. I think that was the plan. I thought that was the plan, but maybe not. We'll see. Who the fuck knows? Okay, well, you're out of here, so get the hell out of here. Let me finish my shout-outs.
gone.
And then I'm gonna get
everybody.
and then we're gonna finish
Bye.
out with Thunderfudge, aka Pinks and Perps in a sec. Our first other sponsor, who we haven't had actually in a couple of weeks, but we'll probably have him come out soon. We're still trying to get Neil, who is the main owner from this company, or the main guy behind all the formulas, which is like the same guy that made Bud Blood back in the day. Remember that? The first thing ever that was on the market, like the first thing that was thought out and like, hey, look, when you're flowering, you want to bang them with this, and it was like, what is that?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Exactly. So, but now they make New Millennium here in Colorado. It's a super. And is this the new site? It's finally up now. Is this what we're seeing?
Yeah, it's a new site. Let's see.
Because we've been waiting for it for like September forever, and it was now.
Yeah. There's new stuff.
Boom, it's up. So the calculators are up.
The calculators are up.
Oh my God, it's a glory day for New Millennium. So now finally you can go to New Millennium. Their whole site's working. They've been building this thing for a while, and it makes it a lot easier as a grower because you can go. They got about 9 components, and at the end of the day, you only need a little bit of this. You need a little more of that. Like especially when there's a new product, there you go right there. So that's a good idea to get them on the show. I don't even know what that is.
Carbo Narnia.
Oh, the Carbo. Okay, cool. I've had that. It's awesome. And that's actually got a lot of aminos in it, too, which is cool because most carbos are just kind of what they are. That amino, because you're in that zone where the plants, it's kind of like they're needing it at that time. Yeah. So you kind of like, a lot of times people are just trying to pack on, but they're not really, plants don't fucking work fast enough to take it on. But with those aminos, you can really tell, like, that's all they need at that point in time. It's like a milkshake. Every time you give it to you, like, that's a fucking like plant milkshake right there. It's like that was good. You know what I mean? It's easy, quick, and it stacks it on. So that product line, they got a whole bunch of new artwork. It looks like they're changing up right in front of my eyes. I was like, I don't even recognize this shit. This is like I've been gone for 2 weeks, but I haven't been over to the store in actually 2 weeks. It's funny. It's like the first time I didn't go there.
The site looks really nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's a nice site.
The old site was pretty much like you ended at like a dead end. You're like, it's coming soon. It was like, no, that's like the worst. But now, looking good. And also, like I've been using that product, like I said, for over 2 years. It's rock solid, and you work with a few other products like Bud Swell and stuff, which is awesome too. It's another good product. Yep, see, boom. Okay, next, build a soil. If you want to go old school, or actually new school in a way, no-till, very smart, organic-based components. They'll build you soil, like the name of their company, as far as 1 bag, 300,000 bags. Well, 30,000, I know they can handle that right away. 300 might be a lot. Yeah, they could do it. Actually, funny enough, they're mixing a lot of shit by hand to ensure that you get a really good mix, but also on top of that, you can buy every component you need to do completely good integrated pest management they have, so that helps keep things safe smartly with essential oils and basic stuff that you can actually get away with, and the plant doesn't fucking build a tolerance to some other thing, or convert it and fuck it up.
Which we see all the time.
You can go to buildasoil.com, check them out online, and you can also go and call Jeremy at 855-877-SOIL and talk to a human. Everyone that works there is super smart, so you're not going to get anybody who doesn't know what you're talking about. But if you get to talk to Jeremy, which is awesome, then you can ask him anything you want in the organic world, and he will come correct, because we get him on the show a lot. He can break stuff down for you really well, and it's like he's a real on-point guy, and every product that they have is really on, kind of like if he has it, you can use it in the long term. There's no crazy, there's no salts or nothing like that. So give him a shout. They are the man. And we got Incredibles, the best edibles. Everyone's got a new website. What the fuck is this? Like literally the day of every single person has a new website. God damn it! Good thing
I was not expecting that kind of a website either.
Good thing I got my new website.
It's a nice one.
Adam Dunn Show's pretty new. That's only a couple.
Wow,
old.
This is really dynamic.
I know, these guys are going nuts.
Good job. Taking it real.
Taking it to the next level. But in general, these guys have always been doing high quality products, consistent. Yes. And that's the key to making chocolates. That's the key to making edibles. That's the key to making the extracts, which are kind of all these guys' specialties. And we've been watching them since the beginning and helping them out actually in the beginning, and it was like they were definitely the leaders as far as just recognizing that you have to concentrate on making really good products that are from the beginning to the end, which is, I think, that's the whole deal that these guys are all known for. So they grow it, they extract it, then they turn it into edibles. because a lot of companies were just basing their whole edible company on buying crap. You know what I mean? It's like that's a terrible model. The best model is going in with good components, coming out with good components, kind of like growing weed.
Well, they have their whole wellness component.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have. They split off into 3 different things. They're like Incredibles edibles, Incredibles wellness, and then Incredibles extracts.
So there you go. Check out that site. It's iloveincredibles.com still, right? They didn't go crazy and change their website.
Nope, same website.
Well, that would have been crazy. iloveincredibles.com. Check that out. That's actually been upgraded recently, too, because it used to be, didn't it be something else before? Yeah, they moved. They've been
I want some of that chocolate right now.
Oh, look at that one. Yeah, of course. Boom. Yeah,
I'm not a chocolate fan, but I'm an edibles fan, so I would eat that.
I wouldn't want to put my fingers near him with edibles.
Yeah,
yep. And then one of our newest sponsors, Grow Life. And these guys are covering kind of like they were supposed to be on the show today, but that's where we're going to get down and dirty and figure out all the shit that these guys are doing. But they're kind of covering the whole direct to customer base where people can. It's kind of the future of this whole industry. It's kind of like especially when you're doing larger scale production, a lot of people want to, even though they go to grocery, a lot of people have their own one shop that they deal with, which is nice, but sometimes it's also like, you're talking like larger, the firms, they want to go direct. These guys kind of do that. They bridge the gap, and they bring in kind of filled out units that are already kind of done. So instead of it being, obviously they're not going to take every single component of a grow shop, but they're just taking the ones that are the most needed and getting them out to people direct. It is Grow Life
Co,
right?
Oh, Grow Life Eco or Eco.
Eco.com? Mm-hmm. Okay. GrowLifeEco.com. And next week they're going to be on the show live, so I think it's going to be Matt from the show, from the company. We were supposed to have him on last week, and then I couldn't do it. Then we were supposed to have him on this week, and then he couldn't do it. Typical stuff. But we ended up with, and then we also have Wallace, only the Wallace formula one. The Wallace only formula. Wow. Ron Wallace. So just look up the words Ron Wallace, and you'll get it. Boom.
Oh.
There you go. That's our newest sponsor. He's coming on the show this whole next month. Ron Wallace pumpkins, boom, and then you see the Ron. There you go. That's the Ron Wallace formula for gigantic pumpkins.
Can you even cook that?
Nah.
Can you hide in it?
He gets to go on shows. he gets to sit on top of them in front of people on shows.
I would hide stuff inside of it and just
transport. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, he goes around a world tour.
Who needs a suitcase? You have like a pumpkin.
World tour. We have to fill it with these bags. That
he's like a repetitive, competitor who keeps on winning. It's not
he's a winner. He's a winner.
That's so crazy.
No, Ron's got some awesome stuff, and the thing is, he's got his own mycorrhizal stuff. He's got his own products. So he's got his own product line. And it's totally crossover cannabis, and I told him so we kind of, I know that this year was his first year of really trying his stuff with some seed from me and other people, and so I know that it should be interesting to see how that all panned out. So we'll have him on all next week. And his website is, what is it?
WallaceWow.com.
WallaceWow.com. There you go. Boom. And WallaceWow.com. If you want to talk to that guy direct, I'm sure did he put any numbers up there? No, he's a fun guy to talk to. Let me tell you. He's like that. Oh, that thick
in his contact.
Does he smoke?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ron Wallace.
Not a lot, but he's Ron. Mr. Ron. Yeah.
Do you want the contact number?
No, I'm just saying he's that kind of guy. He's amicable and easy to talk to. So, but he's fun. We'll get him on the show. I want to get him. I put out a message to Bill Burr because I was like, really want to get him on the show at one point, and I feel like if I get him on the show, I'm putting those two together just because I'll have like the Rhode Island and the Boston. It's just such a good combo because I grew up there a little bit, but I'm not I kind of stayed away from picking that one up.
Bill Burr's a good guy, man. That's dope that you guys are reaching out.
I'm just reaching out because I think he's awesome. And I mean, it's just like one of those things. I'm like, fuck it. We're just gonna be like one of those guys pestering him. And like,
hey, it works half the time. That's how I get all the crap that we do done.
I'm like, if I'm gonna get anybody on the show, I want somebody else who does another podcast who just goes through all the bullshit. Mm-hmm. He just does it all solo, and he's hilarious. He doesn't need anybody. He's worse than both of us talking. We're pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, as far as hogging the mic, we
true.
Well, true. Okay, so we can't, as far as hogging the mic, we're going to get on with our next guest. So now it's like The View or something. I got like or I don't know, some stupid show. I got like the 9.
Thanks for nothing.
No, I'm just saying, we got our
Which one am I then?
multi hosts. It's so good.
Whoopi Goldberg.
You're instantly Whoopi, I guess.
Obviously.
So, Mr. Thunderfudge, you're still on this. Hopefully, you're still on there, right? After all that.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, you're so kind.
It's nice talking to you again. So, how has it been with? I guess. Well, let's see. It's been. You came on my show about a few months, 6 months ago, or something like that. We had you on for just a minute or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
A few months ago.
A few months ago, I remember I told him, I was like, I thought this guy was pretty funny. We need to have a sesh. So tell us a little bit about, because he was giving me some stuff. James likes to feed me with information, but he's you talk to James, So I'm trying to pick up as much as I can. I'm like, okay, I'll try to remember some of this stuff. So basically, because
I've messed a lot with Elite's gear.
Uh-huh.
I think we talked about Larry last time around.
Yeah.
You had some bad experiences with her.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, man, I've just been plugging along, just trying to get everything, all my favorite cuts back crossed and, at least in the fridge, and so I can keep a hold of everything, You lose so many good ones, and I don't want to regret it later, so...
Yeah, it's kind of a phase where a lot of us are at, I think, where it's just like better to have it in seed form in some way, shape, or form right now, because I don't know, it's weird. I was literally just vacuuming a bunch of seeds up, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, okay, it's like 2 duffel bags. It's just fucking like it's all ready to roll. You know what I mean? I'm just like, fuck, you never know, because it's like one of those things.
Pack up and go anywhere.
Yeah, you just kind of want to be ready, because I had everything in jars, and it was just like clinkety clank. I was just like one of those deals where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it all just vac, because who the fuck knows? Shit's getting weird right now. Fucking every time you turn on the TV, you're like, is it going to be like a nuclear war tomorrow? Because I better have my seeds not all in jars, because that's not going to be good. They're fucking ready to roll. Body pack everything I got.
Yeah. At least have like a to-go package, if you just need to grab something in a hurry. All your favorites.
Survival seeds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's not a bad time for anybody to think about that. So, are you still rocking a lot of original stuff from that time period, or are you kind of been...
Yeah, that's all I really mess with. I like those years. Right before I came online, 04 to 2010, 2011. I think there's a lot of stuff that was just really nice and was just kind of left behind. Going for the latest and greatest. So we're just trying to go through and collect up as much as I can and get it in the seed form some way, somehow. Stuff like Burma Berry. I got some Burma Berry from Med User, who did wood horse seeds. And, I've been playing with that. And, the real super lemon haze, not the lemon skunk. The nice super silver haze looking, big stretchy monster of a plant. I've been playing with that a lot. Still the Sour Larry, Res Sour D to Larry, and I've taken that to BX2. Found a really nice dime piece male in the BX1, so I hit that to a bunch of more modern cuts and whatnot. I've been all over the Fruity Pebble OG from Alien, and that's a great cross, man. Sour Larry BX1 to Fruity Pebble OG. The diesel's still there, a little bit of OG, and just a mass amount of sweet cereal. It's a really nice fruity diesel cut. So I've got that to F2 now, and just been playing with a few crosses. Still play with the white a little, I think if you have something really good and terpy, the white is a no-brainer, right, for adding frost and whatnot. But no, man, that's about it. Just plugging along.
Right. Well, no, it's good. It sounds like and that's the thing is, if you just kind of hone in on certain things that you like, the people who like it will like it and kind of come around, and it will be you're not chasing your tail every time because like it is fun to try different flavors and put them out there and let people make the decision. That's usually the best bet.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. It's just hard when you get like it's so funny. Like 5 years ago, it was just everybody would just like all of a sudden stopped wanting anything sweet. You know what I mean? And then for like the next 3 years, nothing. And then all of a sudden lately, because everybody's gotten like
that forbidden fruit last year at the Emerald Cup and all kinds of those other fruity ones brought it all back.
All of a sudden you're like, what? Fruit now? Now the new thing? Like, oh man, I just been working on not fruit and everything for so long.
And like overnight from Kush
everyone's like,
fruit.
Diesel, I want it to be like gassy. And you're like, all right. So then as a breeder, you're kind of like not even focusing on sweet for a while. And yeah, I noticed it recently where I did some stuff that came out kind of fruity, and I was like, maybe this will work just because. Before I would have thrown this away, you know what I mean? Just because of the fact that it's just, I know that people don't want that shit, but who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? It's a fickle market. So you're working with James, obviously, which is how we got you on the show today, and I mean, we all, I mean, as breeders, we all agree he's like the best person to work with, and as far as getting your stuff out, and if you need to, sort of, you have a cause to deal with, put them up on the. You
want to get your stuff sold out in 4 minutes, all that, you know.
Well, you have to have shit that people want.
Exactly.
That much, I guess, it would help probably, but no, it's good to. It's good to see the market here kind of mature slowly, even though at the same time most of us are pretty much been, if you've been doing it for more than 10 years, then you're definitely doing it before things were cool and smooth and you had to dodge bullets.
Exactly.
Have friends kind of back you up every so often, which is the hardest struggle of any, especially for breeders, just because a lot of times you're just kind of sitting on shit that's kind of useless for anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even that thing right there. It's what it does. You know what I mean? And then people go like, they don't see the value in it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's an older 15-year-old plant or something like that. You know what I mean? But you know what it does every time you do it. So, how you been? Exactly. How have you been managing and all that? Like over the years, have you been moving around a lot, or are you just kind of staying in one spot? Or what? Some people are blessed; they never have to move ever.
I've kind of never just had the whole kit and caboodle to myself. Karma Genetics told me a little bit ago that you need a partner to fully be able to do what you want. There's no way to be on Instagram pushing your stuff and still spending your day in the garden and handling your home life and whatnot. And it just like within 24 hours, I had a friend walk in and he was just like the perfect candidate to do it and whatnot.
Yep.
He's been a rock for me as far as, I wasn't really into selling seeds so much as I was just wanted to make them for, my sons and my son's sons and whatnot, just to preserve them, knowing that someday they'll be worth something, But, he kind of stepped up and said, dude, you should be on hoarders here, man. It's disgusting, dude. You need to start off in these. And, he just kind of gave me the confidence to get out there and start doing it, I mean, I was with Exotic for a long time, and, man, I saw how well he did and whatnot. And, it's just, it's just tough to put your foot out there if you have morals and you kind of see what's going on in a lot of bullpens and, you're like, God, I don't want to be thought of as that guy. Is 3 years enough time to be working this thing to put it out? Am I going to get dogged on or whatnot? So, I mean,
well, yeah, it's getting more
figuring out where you fit in.
The market's interesting because it's getting a little bit more ridiculously vicious in one way, and it's also getting a little bit, because everybody and I noticed it back in the day years ago where. People would be like, "Oh yeah, we used to run your sage. We killed it." They'd love to say that, like, "We killed it. We moved on to something else." And it was always just like, "Okay, whatever." And then there'd be other people who like hang on to shit forever, and so we don't know which one's good. It's kind of good to run through stuff, obviously, but people do get like kind of like it's getting to the point where people are like flavor of the hour. You know what I mean? It's not even flavor of like the month anymore. Yeah. It's like flavor of the week, or so it is kind of like, and it's weird too because as a grower, if if you let it out to the masses, it gets fucking railroaded real quick. Like obviously, it has to really have legs. You know what I mean? To like keep going. Like Gorilla Glue is a good example where it had enough legs that it made it around the world. Now it's famous in London.
Yeah.
You know, people are talking about it like it's the new skunk. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is Gorilla Glue, and it's amazing how much the hype that one plant got.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, as a grower, you're kind of like, you know, it's easy to grow, and that's like kind of a problem because you almost don't want other people, because then anybody can grow it. So what's the fucking point of growing it? You know, you almost want it, like you want the challenge. You know what I mean? Nobody really wants. I mean, you do want things to be easy, obviously, but it is nice when there's like a little challenge and you get something super special, and other people try it and they go, like, oh, that thing sucks. You know what I mean? You're like, no, you just don't know how to grow it. It's like fucking 3 more weeks than you're used to, or whatever. But like, you know, what's your usual finishing time? Because with your is your males that you're using, are they dominant or are they recessive as far as like their structure and their flavor and everything like that? What's their kind of?
They're more on the truer side of things. You know, this Ultimate Camo 8. You know, I've seen things 3 generations down the road on the recessive side that came up as absolutely poster child for the F1, you know, and I've done, you know, I've moved the line to BX2 in a completely opposite direction. You know, it usually, you know, I like males that, you know, don't start sacking up until, you know, 2 weeks in. You know, I don't like to see any early balls at all. You know, usually, you know, the last plants I'm pulling out of my room are the you know, the keeper males that I find in the bunch from seed, you know, and setting them all aside. You know, I'm to the point now I'd probably keep more males than females in the rotation, and you know, just monitor them. Everything does, you know, 6 months to a year, just in the tent being neglected, and you know, the survivors move on to the next round. At that point, you know, I'll start, if they pass the stability, then I'll get more into, you know, structure and scent, and, you know, THC and whatnot. But you know, I like the stability before anything. It just seems to have saved me a lot of drama and a lot of situations, you know.
Yeah, especially like with OGs and stuff like that. When people make crosses with OGs, there's a lot of straw, you know, like structure going on and weird shit that you're just like, wow, man, you know, that's like has no intake. Like I had a bunch of SFE back crosses that somebody gave me that was like. And this is somebody who has a really good cut, so it's not like, you know, it's coming from some real swag, but it was just weird because all the seeds were like good buds on papery, weird stems, you know what I mean? So you're like, man, this is like hard to, like, if you cut it and you had it all like nice and you cut one branch, the whole thing just like collapse inwards or something. It was just weird. I was like, this is like fucking bizarre. You know
like
what I
a
mean?
cake falling in.
Just terrible structure. It was like a really weird plant. I just like tossed all of them on the end. It was like, at first, I mean, I liked the bud that came on it, but it's just, if you were even like ever tried to move it, it would just crumble into itself. It was weird.
Too finicky.
So yeah, structure is important, obviously, and then yeah, I mean, you kind of go for the bullet. What the guy Wolf that was on the show a minute ago, his whole thing is bulletproof plants, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I feed it wrong. I fucking throw it under the lights and just beat on it.
He's the believer that it's a weed and can live through everything.
And he tries to torture it. He's like, anything that makes it through my torture, good plant. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's going for the hardcore, like.
That's funny.
But he's like, they're bulletproof at that point. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense in the long run, obviously, because, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now, just because someone gave me some of my own plants back because they just had too many and they were freaking out. I was like, just give me some, I'll throw them on our roof. Kind of the same thing. I go away for 3 days and come back like, oh shit, come up there and they're like hurting, but now everything's filling in okay. And it's like, it's funny because they're all bud. There's nothing left. There's no leaf on the plant because it's fucking October and they're just about, just like, whatever. But at the same time, I've treated him like my redheaded stepchild, just like beat it down. Just
pull the wolf.
Oh yeah, it was like coming. I've thrown, I think, 4 or 5 times. I put some like back guano on them, and that's it. That's all I did. I was like, that's it. That's all you get. You get some back guano. You get one product.
Well, I mean that's when you see the real star shine. Is in the shitty conditions. I mean, I usually take my any male that's really in the spotlight, you know, I'll take one of my tent doors and literally pick it up and dip it halfway into the plant as a partition, and I'll let the back side of it completely die off, you know, completely light deprived, and then I watch the front side to make sure, you know, it doesn't, you know, click any survival, you know, triggers and start popping sacks or anything, you know, and they should go through hell, because if they don't go through hell here, somebody else is going to put them through hell. And I at least want to be able to know what to tell them, you know. I mean,
I used to think about that from Amsterdam's point of view. That was like such a shitty condition there, as far as like humid and, you know, cold and just crappy, and you'd always grow indoors, and there'd always be like, you know, just kind of like in places that weren't supposed to be growing and whatever. And so it wasn't like you were growing them in laboratories or nothing. And then I always was like, well, I bet these seeds do really well, because when they get to fucking California or something, they're like, holy shit, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, where the fuck have I been my whole life? You know what I mean? Where if you bring them from somewhere that's all nice, it's almost like they're going to die when they hit Holland and try to grow outdoors. You know what I mean? Some kid's going to try to grow it. It's going to like poop out on you. So yeah.
Exactly.
So basically you torture all your plants and you clip fucking electrodes to them, zap them. That's cool. Now, have you... So
small pots the first time around, of course, you know. Keep them bound up good, you know. I think I just kind of have this opinion: if you just beat the hell out of a male enough, you know, and you know the female plants you're using, you know, to cross them to. I mean, you should know that thing pretty intimately, and you know, not have a problem with anything if you just make it bulletproof. That's a good analogy. I like that.
Okay, that's good. We'll take nuggets away from each other on this one. So the other thing too with breeding also is, I mean, the males is what separates all the breeders, because a lot of people share different females, you know. Oh, you're using this diesel, and okay, exactly. And everybody uses that diesel, and there's 4 different combos coming off of it. So do you do like just real small numbers to play around with, or do you like make a bunch and then run through
small numbers?
Yeah, small. Do you ever do like multis on one? You know, like take like one female and put 5 different males in bags and kind of go for that style, or do you just?
I just did a random on the sour Larry Pebbles out there. I used 3 males to 3 females. I mean, you know, I only pretty much use 1 male if it's, you know, a preservation, you know, something I need locked down in seed form, and my options are limited, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely, if you're going to an F2 generation anyway, I mean, why not throw everything in the sink you can, you know? So, yeah, you know, of course, you know, my Sour Larry Super Lemon Haze BX1 F2 was like, I think we used 2 males, but they were both really similar. Just one still had a little cam in it, you know, just to keep it interesting and whatnot. But, you know, yeah, of course, man, selection is everything. And if I don't see something in one plant, but I have 2 good males, you know, I have no problem throwing 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever gets the job done.
Right. No, and that's the thing, is you a lot of times don't know until next round anyway, because, I mean, that's the whole point. You do have to go through everything.
Exactly.
And then, surprise, surprise, you know, 1 out of 5 worked. And so imagine if you only did 1, you'd really have better be that one, you know, and chances are it would be 4 times saying no, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, definitely more males is always a good thing. And that's also the pain in the ass part of being a grower, for a breeder, is general, is that people don't get, you know, the importance of males. And so on many occasions I've seen people just neglect, because it looks like you're neglecting it because it's in too small of a pot and whatever. And then if you try, those are the kind of things you can't have a hard time leaving with people, you know what I mean? Because then all of a sudden you're like, you are trapped in your own freaking can of hell, you know what I mean? I've had that so many times where I've been like, oh my God, I can't leave, you know what I mean? It's too many little things happening, you know. And
I think we've all been through that where we've had to cancel trips and move some life around because you can't leave because you're a slave to your little garden there that won't produce, and you're like, damn it, what'd I do wrong?
Well, the classic one I think a lot of people have been through is right when you first, like, we just tighten the last screw on the fucking best looking thing you've ever done, then you get the fucking letter that says, oh, once every whatever amount of years we come through for an inspection, and we're going to be there like in the next Monday or something, and you're like, fuck. Yeah, I've had that in Holland so many times, because in Holland they love to do these once a year checks, and you never know when you move into a new house, and it seems like every time you move into a new place, before you've ever built the fucking first little fake wall or whatever to fucking hide it, they've already come through, you've broken it all down, and fucking rented a truck and had it outside. And kept a fucking heater in the truck in the middle of the winter. I've done it all, like all the stupid things you could ever do. What I mean? It's like, yeah. I mean, have you had to do any kind of crazy maneuvers like that, like with genetics or anything?
Yeah. Oh yeah. U-Haul trucks and shady people and 2-hour drives to the grow, and your partner dies 2 months into the arrangement, and you have to deal with his tweaker son. Yeah, I've been there. I've done that a few times. Yeah, sure. I was like 0 for 3 on my, in 2016 on co-ventures.
Yeah,
been there, done that.
Exactly, and that is the hard lesson of this whole thing, where you do deal with people you don't want to deal with sometimes, or you didn't know you didn't want to deal with them in the first place. I tell everybody from whenever I'm doing any kind of question answer thing, people are asking me, it's like, what's the hardest thing? It's like, picking the wrong fucking partner is probably the hardest thing, because that's like, you're married at that point, you know what I mean? And you got to be like, whether it's legal, illegal, underground, overground, doesn't matter. You're still in some sort of a weird contract bind, you know what I mean? And it gets weird quick, that's for sure. You know what I mean? It's especially when you're like the talent that's doing all the real work, and that's where it gets real rough, because the people who have money think things just double and triple, and
they think it's drug dealing, not aggro. That's the problem.
Yeah, when you're actually talking about plants and keeping things alive and waiting, you have to wait around. There's nothing to do. It's like, what else are you gonna do? It's like, so. Tell me, anything else going on as far as outside of you gonna come to Emerald Cup, or are you gonna come over there?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get down there, definitely.
Nice.
I had cannabis hypermesis 2 months ago.
Oh, really? We had a guy on the show actually about. We had a guy on the show about a few weeks ago actually, and he was about a month ago. And tell us what happened. You got diagnosed with it, or you just think you had it, or what's the deal?
No, well, man. Well, you know what? I had a late dinner one night. Had a Burger King apple pie.
We're already on we're on a bad start right now. This is starting. I think I know the problem, sir. And then,
3 o'clock in the morning rolls around, man, and I get up and I just feel terrible. I'm going, oh man, I got the sweats, and I'm just in pain, and I know it's like, man, I'm gonna have to go through it. Stepped outside and just started throwing up, and I could not stop vomiting for retching for 3 hours, and man, I got this incredible obsessive compulsive disorder to just be in the shower, and that was the only thing that'll make me feel any better. And I mean, I probably took 20 showers inside of, by the next morning, I mean, I couldn't, I was just staying in the shower. I was that sick. And I went to the emergency room, and they told me that, they told me I was going to die within a year, basically. That's how the conversation started. Well, I had a heart murmur, which I knew I had, but a big symptom of the hypermesis is, your heart rate drops. So the two together was not good. And, they ended up giving me anti-nausea medicine and sending me home. And, man, I was still sick the next day, and I figured, man, I'll go take a toke, I'll try to, get my appetite back. And, man, it hit me like an anvil over the head. So I was right back at the emergency room, and, I'd been, on the net surfing and whatnot, and saw, the main symptoms are, OCD in the shower, and, pain at room temperature, and just not being able to hold anything down, and I actually had a doctor that listened to me, and she took me right in, and they got the IV running, and they were said, man, you have like 0 electrolytes in your body, you have 0 potassium, you're hurting. So they kept me there for like 5 days, man, just monitoring me, and my heart rate didn't want to go back up, and yeah, it was not a good ordeal, but you know, the nausea, the pain, man, it was unreal. But by the end of 4 days or whatever, you know, the main doctor at the hospital had came back to me, and she had been talking to doctors in Colorado and a few other states and whatnot, and they did say it was, you know, combination, my heart murmur and the cannabis hyperemesis.
So you were like that. You know, that's crazy. And then this whole year to live. I mean, what is that? That heart murmur is like that is like that they know something, like they can actually determine that, or that's more of just like a
you know,
could add from a year on.
Misguising it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds a little dramatic.
Yeah, you know, he was being, you know, he was being a little overkill, but you know, I was a cigarette smoker for 20-something years too, so I had to quit that, and I'm taking like maybe 3 tokes a day now, which is just fucking awesome. Boy, it's like being in 8th grade all over.
The giggles and munchies.
I took, you know, oh yeah, I took 40 days off or whatever, and you know, just went from, I don't know, maybe 3.5, 4 grams a day down to half gram or less. You know, just a couple green hits, man, will do it all day. I'll just ride that wave all the way to the morning.
Well, yeah,
so
I mean,
that's nice.
Less is more in that sense, for sure. That's you know, that's you know, that there's always these weird silver linings when you have medical situations like that come out of nowhere. It's like usually like it's you know, I had a friend in Amsterdam who is maybe 2 years older than me, so he's probably 50 this year. But he had a heart attack like 2 or 3 years ago, and like he became a totally different person because he used to be like party animal maniac, you know, just like all of a sudden he like, whoa, you know, like kind of toned everything down almost too much, almost to the point I was like, dude, come on. I go, you can come to Holland. He's like, no. Or you can come to Denver. He's like, no, dude, it's too fucking high up, dude. Like, your heart is not going to explode. He's like, oh yeah, it's going to explode. I'm like, you know, so he's already like determined. He's never going to come see me here because he's like, sure, it's just going to like explode.
Because it happens all the time. We see it on the news out here. Another man's heart exploded.
I know. I said this has never happened.
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But anyway, so are you like going to follow up on that, or are you just kind of, I mean, the cannabis? I mean, basically, you're just reducing everything. I
have to have a.
What was the whole electrolyte part? What was the whole electrolyte part? I mean, obviously, I'm thinking Brondo, right? You know, Brondo withdrawals at that point, right? So you're like, bring on the Brondo, bring on the Brondo.
Oh man, I just, you know, I hadn't eaten, or you know, I was probably dehydrated in the first place on top of everything, and
true.
You know, that on top of everything, and no, I had nothing left in my body. There was nothing left to give, man.
Sure.
So yeah, they got the potassium IV going and some nutrients and whatnot. And man, it took 3 days or so before I could eat, you know, regular food again, and just it was no joke. That is not fun.
Yeah.
And you know, and you know, nobody really talks about it at all, but you know, it does happen. So you know,
well, the problem is there's so many heavy smokers out there. They're like, I smoke every day, I never get that. But then again, they're also like, you know, I think 3 to 4 grams is a lot every day. That's like, you know, that's serious. And you smoke cigarettes too at the same time, or is that what you said, or no?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
And so that's it. And you know, like
on those full flavors for years, man.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is like people smoke cigarettes and weed all day. You know, like the weed kind of maybe helps a little bit balance it out a little bit, but for the most part, like the cigarettes are like damage is done. You know what I mean? Like the finite like people I used to know would keep their weed in their Shaggy in Holland. You know what I mean? Because they didn't give a shit. They'd mix it all with tobacco anyway. I was like, oh, this is terrible. Like I couldn't even smoke the weed that was near the tobacco because it had that like fucking funk. But a lot of people just like get like into that whole like boom, they'll smoke anything, you know, anything, any mix, and it's way rougher because you know you just have that like the tendency. I mean, tobacco is just like such a different damage, compared to like cannabis actually,
and that's why
negligible. I mean, this is a symptom of something that's like, obviously there's more to it than just cannabis. I mean, it's just some combo.
Oh yeah. When they see this, in most cases, it is a mixture of things. A lot of high stress. It is the fact that we do increase the heart rate, and right now, like the kids who are dabbing, that increases your heart rate even 10% higher than just taking the regular dab, because now we have a massive influx. So these are the topics that should be being discussed. In fact, there is a panel that is being put together, and it's a real, true medical panel that is talking about little things like lipid pneumonia, other types of issues that maybe not are fully cannabis derived, but there is a large portion of the cannabis industry that is playing into these types of conditions. And so now we really do need to be educating not just the pharmaceutical companies that are out there trying to tap in, but also the people who this could be happening to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, did you see there was like this study that came out, like, where they're saying at higher temperatures, there was toxins, which, I mean, it's kind of obvious. Like, and you can tell that when, and it's funny how like the trends were the healthier trends, but the most wasteful,
Yeah.
So it doesn't
low
feel,
temp it, so you don't have any hit really, but
yeah, can't taste it if you don't waste it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, oh, it's so rough on the old time smokers, because we're all just based on like get everything in your body that you can, because we'd be smoking at a game, or we'd be smoking at a fucking concert, or we'd be smoking somewhere else. It'd be like, you don't let any of that shit out. You try to get as much in you as you can, and then with smoking dabs, the idea is to like not hold it and fucking barely hit it and kind of overwaste it. And it is weird. And then like everyone's got fucking Q-tips, and like I have a party here, and at the end it's like it's messier with fucking dabbers than it is with fucking any other thing, because these guys have like
on the counter.
200 fucking Q-tips on my spot, and they're all on the floor and everywhere, and it's just like, really? Like,
we are doing a cross analysis on how much we've increased the sale of Q-tips, like we did with the turkey
I was
bag.
just thinking that the other day.
With the turkey bag industry and Ziplocs, like as the cannabis industry in whole has actually supported some of those several markets at very many points, and over the last year.
Over the last couple of years, those guys have, I mean, they must have just freaked out.
Read the side of some of the cans. They say like the best yield possible, and you're like, out of my lighter? Like, what are you talking about there, bud? Yeah.
No, a lot of these industries are just blown away, I'm sure, by cannabis, where it's, like like turkey bags. I'm sure they're like, there's like a one shop in Ukiah. This guy sells like 2,000 fucking boxes a day. I'd be like,
no bullshit. There is a Family Dollar, and I forget the exact location. I think it is in Ukiah that sells more totes. We know the totes. Everybody knows the totes.
Right.
They sell more totes than any other facility in that company.
Yeah,
that's like the headquarters for totes.
That's awesome.
They're like, we're out of totes. Call Kelly. So that's where the totes are.
Send them all there. No, it is crazy, right? So you're doing like a bunch of different strains, kind of to support all this, or I mean, it's definitely like it sounds like a serious. Sounds like you got like some serious shit going on. So you definitely want to like. Creating that as part of the campaign, or are you just kind of keeping it all private, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just watching and observing and see it where it can take me at some point,
Well, just because that's like a drastic. That's like someone tells you got a year to live, and you're just like, all right, then fucking, I'm gonna make that the best year of my life right there. So I mean, you might as well.
Yeah. No, man. Well,
and it won't be though, and I don't think it's gonna be 1 year. I think that's just somebody trying to. Fucking
No, that was something that dude told me just to scare the shit out of me.
I was gonna say
it worked. So I mean,
it got you to stop smoking.
I'd shake his hand if I saw him today.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I got a question from the chat room for Thunderfudge.
Okay, we got a chat room question.
Let's see. Bateman is asking any tips on what leaf traits or structure to look for in the Sour Larry BX.
Ooh, nice. You want the 5-leafers? Of course, there'll be some opposing, more like chem-looking plants. You're gonna want to pull the leaves off. what's the best way to say this? Up until you have them in flower, you'll have a few with like mass traits. You'll see more of a sour Larry structure with some more sativa-ish leaves. If you smell the like it's like a lime eucalyptus, you're treading right on solid sour Larry grounds. The ones that the smell takes a little longer to come out in, those will be your 5 through 7 leaves. A lot of those will be more on the chem side, but you will find some straight OG plants in there with more of a more of a beefed up structure, I'd say. Not like a limpy spaghetti noodle SFV plant, more like
I got you.
A chem plant that you cut half the plant off of. Mm-hmm. Very beefy looking. They're the sour Larry Phenos. The My Keeper has 5 leaves. They're have like that spacing that like sour Larry would have, or excuse me, sour diesel. You look at a sour diesel leaf. It's very similar, just less blades. You'll see that a lot. Sour Larry leaners will go 8.5 weeks, 9 at the most. Sorry, I had to pull some shit out of my gutter real quick. We're raining down here. But basically, you want a canoe-shaped leaf. The wider leaves will be the more Larry-esque plants. The perfect sour Larry combo to me is a nice, not thinner, medium width leaf, I'd say. Like a Chem Kush. They're abundant in there, The sour Larry BX ones were a little more, you either got it or you didn't. You got a chem plant or you got a sour Larry plant.
Right.
The sour Larry BX2s are more of a combination of sour Larry genes, if that makes sense. Like you'll see plants with OG buds with a more of a diesel structure to it, Mm-hmm. Or you'll get the just the solid large plant with the Larry buds on it, I mean, there's like 5 main phenotypes that come out of there. 3 of them being sour Larry, 2 of them being a little more on the chem side, because like we talked about earlier, that 08 male just loves to show itself,
Mm-hmm.
Even at BX2. And, that combination was the Ultimate Chem 08, which is half Ultimate Chem, half sour Larry. I took that to the sour Larry clone from Zoolander. And then found a nice male on that. Of course, went back to the cut again. Bam, you got BX2. But basically, you're looking for the more cushy leaves. Of course, is going to be the more sour Larry. But you'll see a couple combinations in there, but they're all very, very, very sour Larry-esque. The leaves are like probably the weakest point as far as determining,
Mm-hmm.
what's what. I mean, you'll see it in the structure, man. Is the main thing you're gonna see early on. If it has more opposing branches, you're gonna have a chem leaner. If it's
Gotcha.
more of a
climber, like kind of,
cool.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Cool. That's the thing is like a lot of this is, it's good to see that. So between the BX1 and the BX2, you pretty much are, if you really want to have one or the other, you're going to go with the BX1. And if you really want to have a blend, you want the BX2 is kind of what you're,
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Cool. And, and then we discussed last time, I told you, like I also said it was totally not verified. So it was not like I had a chain of command, but I had the seed version of some lemon Larry that ended up going Herman, blowing out my whole room. Is that from a totally is that from a totally different? Because I heard
no,
that.
Man, it was both from Elite Genetics.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Elite, the guy made some great crosses, but he was just, he couldn't stay away from the drugs. He actually just got out after doing, I think, 8 years, and he made it 3 months out on the streets before he, eluded the cops and hit a parked house. And I mean, we had a pretty bad run, but he's back in prison. He made the Lemon Larry in 2 batches, and the second batch is the one with the problems, the lack of flavor and the herms and whatnot. He let that first male go and then just tried to, once it became such a hit, he tried to fudge another batch.
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Skunk Master Flex, he's worked that Larry line, the F8, F9 or something. I think he was one of the original testers for the first batch.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy named Big Buddy from Big Buddy Seeds, who found the Big Buddy Lavender for Bodie. I think he was the other tester. So, no, man, they that first batch was epic, man. I see very little. I see no intersecting, man. If you get a herm plant, you're gonna know 10 days in. That's just they're herms right from the get go, or they don't herm. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice. It was that's just kind of a bonus. That's kind of why I've just stayed with it for so long, and I keep working with it. It's just It's been a pleasure. I think I know it well, and man, the stability is there.
Right.
So,
well, yeah. I mean, and there's certain plants that the test of time is there, and some things are like 2-3 years, and then they kind of die off, and it's always nice to have certain phenos that stand out, and everybody either clones really well, which is always a good because I mean a lot of OGs suck, and I mean they clone terrible. So so you end up like seeing dead ends a lot of times with people, or like one guy can keep it going and he keeps it alive, and then if he goes down, everyone goes down because everyone else is super sloppy, and they get but then you get others
gets their cut from him.
Then you get like Blue Dream and fucking roots like crazy, things that are easy and people grow it like nuts, and that's why it's the most popular strain in the world at one point, but not because it's good weed, just because
it's an easy big yielder.
Easy big yielder that transported well. That's pretty much what it was like designed to do.
Transported well.
I'm getting my ROI.
It just had that like the thing is, if that was like the last thing you opened up on the East Coast, it would still have some smell to it, and it would actually be all right. Whereas OG would be dead by the time. If it was the last plant you pulled out, you wouldn't even smell the OG part. Barely. You'd be like, that's some swag, So then it gets
old hay.
Yeah, kind of goes quicker. Indicas don't seem to age as nice, in my opinion. I mean, that's what I've noticed. A little bit less.
They get a little browner faster.
Yeah, they lose their. They have that kind of cardboard, like, it looked good. I know that was good weed back when it was good weed, but whereas get a sativa, it'll just have a little wang to it or something like that. After a while, it's a little bit, kind of gets the same, becomes that old Jack Harrer kind of weird smell, like that kind of musty.
I was just gonna say
cedar smell or something like that. You're like, oh, okay, that's that's a sativa something. I
don't remember what, but that's definitely a sativa.
It's a sativa something.
I didn't have any Jack laying around. What is that?
Something that has been like the kind of like flavor that got kind of like dominated everything, and you notice how it creeped into a lot of people's lines and turned into like.
Well, it was like 2006 and 7 when J2, all of them just started going crazy, and everybody was just buying them, and they were the strains, and then it turned into all the craziness, and now everybody's back crossed with it. We don't even know what half of these strains are.
But it's very dominant. Whatever it is, it just like it's like putting just one drop in just kills it. Like like it just tastes like the same fucking weed as that other weed. And you can't put your finger on it because it's all like
weed. It's that flavor.
So yeah, that is kind of like the thing maybe you don't want to keep out of your mix if you want to stay unique, You got any others? You got any like long flowering like beyond that 10-week time, or you kind of try to stay within the 9.5?
Man, everything's more on the 10-11 week side.
10-11, okay. I think 10,
I
think 77 days is a beautiful fucking day. Like when you can get a good plant that finishes on that 11th week like perfectly. Those seem to be really more heady, kind of nicer, like personal.
They've
plant.
matured fully, right before they're starting to put those seeds in there and get that overdone little feel. That's like it's perfect. It's like a a perfectly cooked something. You
Well,
know
that's
what
why I
I
had
mean?
a lot of people who had problems with any sage crosses because they'd be like, "Oh man, this thing takes fucking over 10 weeks." I'm like, I know, but that's like, is it good?
I
That's
can
like
only get 2 a year.
you know. And then it's like, but to me, it's like less work per year, more yield, and just grow bigger plants. You know, if you can.
Yeah.
What are you growing in Thunder? What's your technique? Do you soil or? I think
I'm a cocoa guy.
Cocoa.
House and garden across the board.
I remember we were like talking about. Yeah, I do. I now remember from last time. Cocoa, house and garden, and I was like, and you were like, yeah, not so impressed, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. I think that was a discussion we had on the last. But you don't really change it up too much, or you're just kind of like stuck. You got pretty much your.
Well, my partner's all just amended soils, no till and whatnot.
Oh, good.
He brings plants over here, and I go right over the top of it with the bottle, and it is what it is. All the stuff that we're making seeds with is all done for simplicity and no till and whatnot.
That's cool.
I just like to test things hard and whatnot. Feed every day. Double-ended bulbs. I run it pretty hard, but it's getting to the point here where I might as well just find a damn job in the industry. It's the market for guys like me isn't as big as it once was, booming and whatnot. So we're just kind of throttling down now on the growing and just it's always been tough to grow for survival, and you can't really test and grow for survival because you can't hand somebody here. Well, here, you want a pound. Here's 20 different varieties in 20 different bags.
Right.
So it's to the point now. It's just I'm just going to run stuff just for testing and whatnot and selection and just lose the market end of that.
Right.
So,
well, yeah. I mean, you can always get somebody who has an edible company or something like that, partner up with you, and then let them just deal with that, and then you don't have to you're just looking for what you're looking for, which is and that's cool if you can just run numbers like that, and that's in a way it's kind of less distracting and probably get the job done quicker than if you had to think about all the other parts of it all, because that is also the funny we talked about earlier about transition of this industry is that is the hard part is that everybody's a one-man show or a two-man show and they got their thing rolling, and it's kind of have to diversify in some weird way, and then
exactly.
I mean, to the point where it's how much does it get for basil again? Because it's actually makes more money if you start doing the math. You start going fuck, if I did my whole room and every 14 days I flipped that thing and I sold that to a restaurant.
How quick does radishes grow?
And then you don't have to dry it and do anything. There's no drying and there's no this. And you get that living, when you buy those living ones, it's $6 for 2 little fucking swoops, and it's man, it could fit 10,000 of those on my deal. So I was like, that's if I could have a quarter of that money, that'd be almost worth more than the just growing cannabis.
Well, and a lot of people have started actually doing those types of things. Obviously, we do all the cross analysis of the industry, and those are one of the markets that we've been impacting is the in-home gardeners who then later on sell at these farmers markets, and now they've created a micro business based on the products that were created specifically for the industry, obviously hidden behind certain words and linguistics that said growing for indoor gardens and all that kind of stuff, leaving out marijuana. But we've now created a whole new market of people who are doing that. Now there's people who are trying to create sky farms here in America that are using those models. So
right. Well, that was the thing. That was the other cool part about Sensibility Tips back in the day is that they always kind of were looking into the future of farming, and it was a lot of that, like lettuce farms and stuff like that didn't really work for weed because it's better for 8 to 14 day crop work is kind of in and out. But if people are willing, I think now artisanal food is going to become the next thing because you're going to have to in cities and stuff.
Well, here, your guys' new law that was just passed says that you can no longer have anything that looks like a candy. So there's like specific, you can have a diamond shape, you can have a square shape, but you cannot have a gummy, you cannot have a gummy, well, you can have a gummy, but it can't be a bear, it can't be a worm, it can't be anything that somebody's going to get misconstrued. And this was not because somebody got a hold of it, it was because a kid was selling at a high school, and he got busted and told the cops how he did the whole full 9 yards and said, I was making my own gummies. Those cops got a hold of the school district, who then worked together with the legislators to now implement this new thing. So, yeah, little narcs, you know, we got them everywhere.
Oh man!
And you know, whatever, can't knock the hustle. I was that kid at one time, but at the same time, it's those stupid little things that create new legislation. Which, imagine how many companies like right now have already gone out there and gotten like gummy bear, parts and components for their candy making machines, and now they got to go get new molds, they got to go redesign, they got to find out somebody else who's going to have a new design that is still compatible with what we're doing in this industry. And so it always changes things with all those.
Make it everything should just look like turds.
Like, dude, Mr. Hanky.
It's just, here you go, big turd candy, boom.
I saw a kid had a mold for cupcakes.
Kids should not eat turds.
Like the turd mold.
Yeah,
I was making cupcakes for the neighbor.
See, there you go.
That's pretty dope.
So
I would make those for my neighbors.
We're on to something. You guys, edibles? You guys do any kind of edibles with your? Are you into that? Since your name's Thunderfudge, you might as well have Thunderfudge. Come on.
Yeah, you don't have Thunderfudge.
I was going to say you should be rocking
some.
That should be your side gig right there. Because with a name like Thunderfudge, you could definitely deliver some serious fucking deal, and then be like, "Oh my, you don't know what Thunderfudge is? You didn't realize when you didn't get to work for 3 days?" It's like that could be some like 1,000 milligram per slice stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's like knock you in your ass.
You're the man.
Not the thing you give grandma.
I would be doing that if I were you. I'd be milking that Thunderfudge name as much as possible.
That is a dope name.
Yeah, it's a good name. But you could deliver actual material that was Thunderfudge, then people would be like,
or at least a recipe.
You'd be legendary.
I mean, I'd wear the shirt. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We can brand this.
Yeah, we're already on this. We're running with your name, and we're gonna be giving you.
You'll get a check soon.
You're getting your royalties. No, I think that's
legwork.
That's the curse of the stoner world. Is that we're if we actually did everything we tried to do, it'd be like we'd be back into 1989 or something like that, or 1990. I'd be still stuck on that first big giant thing I thought I was going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is like the.
If you actually like, sometimes I go through like all my old composition notebooks and I'm like, oh shit, what was I thinking when I designed this, or was talking to people about that, like, and then I read what I wrote. I'm like, man, no wonder they called me crazy. Fuck.
So back in the day, how did you even though we're obviously doing this completely the reverse way, but what was your initial? I'm sure I asked this also on the last show, but I don't remember. But what was your initial input into this cannabis world, of growing side of it all, like not just the smoking side, but the actual growing?
Man, I got on the internet, I think in 2011, and just wanted to learn. I was having the problems everybody else has, when you're learning how to grow, and the main cultivar over here at the time was a Thunderfudge cut that I'd gotten years before, and it just kind of been in the Northwest, and he had friends at the University of Washington, and I was lucky enough to get like the 87 hash plant and the black from over there, and something called Speedway, another one they did, and had friends in Normal and whatnot, and I just basically started selling dime bags for a friend, man, and moved up the ladder to the point where I took over the house that I had been buying all this pot from all these years. So at that point, I was just kind of a hobby grower and whatnot, and then the construction market, the housing market fell, a decade ago, started to anyway, and me and all my friends lost their jobs, and all our toys that we'd been building up all these years and whatnot, and it became a necessity to live type of thing, like it did with so many construction people. And we got linked up with Exotic Genetics. It's the same grow store, Waterworks Hydroponics, and we've just kind of guys that would talk at the counter and whatnot, and
Right.
we eventually went in on a room and whatnot, and at the time we were growing a lot of the classics, man, Old Dutch Passion, Blueberry, and the Hog, and Purple Diesel, and the Thunderfudge, and Super Lemon Haze, and all that kind of stuff. And we were sitting around scratching our heads at just the price of these packs coming up from California, and we're going, man, this is just as good as what we have here. What in the hell can we do? And he had already been breeding for a year or two, but just kind of didn't put it out there, So it just became a mission to get it out there, and I was slinging packs all over Washington and whatnot, and preaching the good word, and you eventually got in on those Starfighter auctions over at THC Farmer, and picked up a pack for $2,100, and the beans actually never made it to him from Spain, and he had to get a hold of Alien, and Alien ended up giving him a 30-pack instead of 15, and he found two extremely resinous plants, the number 29 and the number 30. And so, if logic wouldn't have, sent those wrong or whatever, who knows where we'd be. But, he's done awesome, I just, worked with him for a few years after that, and, sat on the forums and paid my dues and made my own crosses, and just kind of, put in the numbers on them and whatnot. And,
well, yeah, exotic's
eventually
definitely right now hot commodity, so it's good guy to be hanging out at the counter with. Yeah. So that's always, you could have gone the other way, right? You could have been hanging out with a guy who had all the spider mites and gave you some clones and killed all your crops early on. You'd be like, dude, what are these things? Yeah. Oh, those are these new russet mites that no one's had yet.
Everybody's buying them.
I'm the first guy in the whole world with them.
You can share them with all your friends.
I wanted you to have these.
I will say that about X. He is very clean, and I had, when we started setting up my room, I had a bunch of other plants going in the back bedroom, and he walked through there in passing one day and looked at it, and he was like, what the fuck you got going on in there, man? Made me take everything out of there and put it right in the driveway and burn it. Really? He's like, man, no bugs, no nothing, nothing, nothing. And, it's been that way since, man. It's, been a task, but, he has a really good eye, man. He can really spot traits well and just really pick winners. He's had a great run.
Yeah, no, it's
He'll
obvious.
continue to do so, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then you guys are doing some collabs. Are you doing any collabs with anybody else?
I've just been kind of playing that one by ear. There's a guy, Green Team Genetics, I really like, and he's been wanting to do some stuff. I'm gonna probably throw a few cuts his way, and see what he can do from his end on them and whatnot. I have no problem, collabs, whatnot. That's all good fun. There's enough stuff out there, man. Everybody can pick their little niche and go at it. The repetition part is the only thing that gets me.
Yeah,
and there's only so many Purple Punch crosses you can make or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I always try to just keep it unique as much as possible. And if you find the people that like what you're doing, and you like what you're doing, that's the main thing. That's the most important part. If you're not happy with what you're doing, then you shouldn't think anybody else will be, because there's people out there who don't give a fuck. They're just like, whatever, making it. And it's like, it's not very, it's not very repetitive. It's not good for repeat business. And that was my whole thing in Amsterdam, was like, we had a brick and mortar store. We'd be there. We're like, I think from that point on, there's there's a couple companies that did it, and then it's hard work because it's retail and it sucks. But you also were like doors open every day, and so kind of felt like that was the most honest way to do it, because people could call you, and that's cool too. But for the most part, if you have a store where they bought them, then come back and talk to you, and you get like that feedback going, that loop. And
that's awesome.
And
man.
you know, nowadays it's nobody really has that. Everyone has, or they meet at the show, and everybody's
people travel from another state, drive it back, and then you never talk to that person ever again.
And there's some, you know, and we just know all the, like I was saying earlier, it's just like whenever there's something like that, you know all the bullshit that can happen. So you know that you see how the companies that like Leo, who we had earlier, you know, he can sell a $700 pack, and he can sell fucking all of them in 4 minutes. You know, what I mean, like, whoa, $700 a pack, that's fucking a lot of money. No big deal, because those guys all know that they're going to get beautiful plants, and they grow outdoors anyway, and they're in NorCal. So $70, not a bad investment. You know, you got 15 pounds or whatever. So
for $70.
You know, they're, well, a little bit more goes into that, but you know, there's definitely the value for money there, but also the reputation. Got to build it. Takes a long time.
And it keeps these strains at bay from the regular people who just have $50 to $60 for that pack. And it allows for those better growers who are willing to take that kind of project on and run with it the right way.
Well, yeah. And back in the day, when I worked at Sensi, I was always like, I first went in there and I said, man, these fucking things are expensive. And I like walked out. And then like about, I don't know, 3 months later, I was working there. And so I realized the whole hustle of the fucking telling people what the fuck's going on is like, why? And then, you know, realized like right away they bought Neville's collection. So like all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, this is some epic weed right here. And then all of a sudden the quality was there. And it was like, oh, okay, that was a lot easier. Because when I first worked for them, their stuff was a little more, it was like they had the Shiva Shanti 1 and 2 and Purple Ravi and all these like weird, and all named after his kids. So I was like, this is all the guy's name of his daughters and his son. And so all the weed was Afghan based, and it was nice, but it wasn't like the Northern Light No. 5 and all the shit that fucking Neville had. You know, I mean, Neville just killed it. With all it was like all of a sudden everything went like, whoa, that's 10 times better than it was. So it was kind of cool to be there during the mix. You know what I mean? Yeah. At the same time, all the Americans that came over were the ones that were more. I always was like, how the more isolated they were, the more interesting they were as far as their genetics went. Because then they'd be like, as long as they didn't order anything from Holland, because that just fucking killed the whole. Like everything was like, oh, that's like our last year's weed. Yeah, so we can't go for that. And then did you have any other kind of landrace stuff ever over the years, or did you ever play around with that, or just kind of went with more? Things that were already hybridized.
I more went for the hybrid stuff that I couldn't get my hands on. You know, I mean, coming onto the scene late. You know,
yeah, I was gonna say when you're late, you got no time to fuck around.
Too apt to throw you a VA cut or whatnot. So it's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. You know, I smoked it. I liked it. You know, I'm just gonna get as close as I can. You know. But you know, I did a seed refresh for Karma Genetics about 4 years ago on Reefer's Reefer Man's Pure Burmese. I still have a bunch of those I've been meaning to get into, but you know, I did the Burma Berry first, which is, you know, the Pure Burmese to Shishka Berry, and you know, ran that a little bit and found a few good plants that I'm, you know, still holding on to. Really nice peach pheno, 100% indica. This thing is just short and squat and flowers fast, and just reeks of peach. So I kind of like having that around and whatnot. I played with marijuana for a while, but I'm kind of an opportunist. You know, I can't pick 30 seeds up and say, okay, I'm going to breed with this. You know, I mean, I'm more. I'll pop 30 of this and 40 of this and, you know, 100 of this and hope for the best. You know, anytime I've ever tried to plan anything out, it's just never gone my way. So I'm just more the type that utilizes his best player he has at the moment, you know, versus, you know, I save the land race stuff for when I can actually have a field and put them out there and do it right, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, indoors, it's like it's. I literally kind of like popped some stuff recently, and I was like, why did I even do that? Because they're going in. I should have just waited to let those go outside, because they're all those Mullumbimby Madness, and those things are like 15, 18 foot tall plant, like bamboo. They go just straight the fuck up, you know what I mean? So I already seen them right out of the gate, like, whoa, those are going to be monsters. We're going to do the hell of a... Now, why did I even do that? But, you know, you have to live with your mistakes sometimes, I guess, but... We'll see.
Because you wanted a challenge, Adam.
I guess so.
That's why.
I mean, I just thought big plants. I was like, oh, those would be big. And then later I
Then you
realized
saw it and you're like, oh, shit.
those are going to be ridiculous.
I've done it too many times.
Ridiculous. Well, cool. I think we're going to wind down. You got a direct,
Awesome,
you got a
man.
direct website or any kind of Instagram or Facebook kind of link that you want to throw out there?
Instagram is running with lightning. Yeah, I'm on there, from time to time. I'm on pretty much most of the forums as Thunderfudge. Instagram running with lightning, no Facebook or anything. I keep it pretty quiet.
Gotcha. And then you're going to be doing some drops at the Emerald Cup, or are you going to be kind of before that, or what's your schedule?
Man, I'm just rocking Super Lemon Haze BX1 crosses out right now, and testing a bunch of Fire Alien Strawberry stuff. I like the old with new. I like to take the app. I have like the app pack and Oregon Kids old short. Quick pheno of blackberry and whatnot. Stuff like that. I like to hit them with the Fire Alien Strawberry.
Right.
Alien 5 at, so we'll see what happens with those, man. They're coming out really nice, man. But no, just sitting back and testing.
Sure.
Sour Larry Pebble F2s, and that would have the Fruity Pebble BX1 in there as well. That was the 3 males to 3 females. F2, and then I took the best male and hit some of the popular stuff, Sherbert and the white, and I have a really nice white fight chem that's 9 weeks, man. OG. It looks like an OG, but it just has that unmistakable chem funk. So playing with that stuff, but I'm thinking about going down to the cup though, definitely. And
cool.
Checking out the invitational and whatnot.
Got to do it. Yeah. Well, we're going to definitely get you involved on that. And I think this year the format, because, I didn't give Hazel any shit about it because, I already do anyway, generally. But we were trying to do the ADSI officially there, but they won't let us do it as an official thing because they only accept outdoor weed. And I'm like, no, our people are going to be bringing indoor weed mostly, and that's just because we got people from all over the fucking country coming or not coming from NorCal. You know what I mean? It's not like every single person's from NorCal.
Yeah.
And so they were like, no. They were like, they held their ground hard. I was like, wow. I was like, all right, how about I just do it, and then you have nothing to do with it. Because the whole deal in the beginning was I was hoping that they were going to give me like 50 tickets so I could give them out to people and then save people money and make them come in. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. All right. What we'll do is if you're in the corral of seeds here now, then you're already like, he wants everybody who wants to get involved to get involved. That way it's like kind of like a challenge against the big boys. You know what I mean? So people who come in can bring 2 ounces. Cool. And then anybody can come. There's 2 days, and I'm going to put the word out for the next fucking 2 months. So I'm sure we'll get a bunch of people coming through and feeling like that. And we'll just do it like a head-to-head, just like we do, and then try to get as many squeezed in one day as possible. And it'll be like kind of like, arm wrestling of weed, because it's just like keeps going until there's one left. And
indoor fights outdoor.
But whatever, you can bring. It's always it's over the top ridiculousness. But it's also the idea of it's hazes versus OGs versus indoors versus outdoors. There's no weight class, and there's no fucking like sativa indica bullshit, because we know that doesn't even make sense anymore. So it's just like it's your weed versus my weed, 2 minute or 1 minute leave. Boom, bam, you come in, you're out.
I'll be the ref,
and we'll do it live. So it'll be fun. So that start getting your lemons ready. And then I'll be the ring guy. I'll be like, get your thing ready. Boom. It's going to be fun shit. So, all right, cool.
Awesome.
See you there, and thanks for coming on the show. And anytime you want to jump on, if you got anything happening, just give us a fucking shout.
It was a pleasure, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Right on, man. Awesome. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks. So you guys stuck around for the whole show. I'm amazed. You guys sweated it out.
You guys are nerds. Wow.
We are. We're just.
We're super dorky.
I mean, honestly, I'm over here like sniffing essential oils and stuff, just like trying to follow along. You guys are like really high level educator types.
Well, yeah, he likes to talk a lot. Me too. So we sound like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It sounds really impressive.
We know what we like, and we take it. And we and the thing is, we've been through the whole bullshit of like, wow, this is going to take forever to ever make money, but
that's something that we realized a long time ago. And
so we're not like the short-term guys who think we're going to kill it. Because I even like stopped caring at a certain point. I'm like, you know what? People throw all these things at you, and I'm like, but I think now the hemp time has come. It's sort of like we're going to have a whole bunch of material to work with. So hopefully you and I will be doing lots of cool shit that we can talk about on shows that were more real instead of just hypothetical.
And if anybody out there listening or who listens later ends up having questions about hemp or legislation or what it is that our firm or our partnership here as well does, please reach out to us. My email address is jesselopezhere@gmail.com, and Jesse is spelled with just an E, so Jesse, no I. jesselopezhere@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, or you want to know more about hemp or like how to get involved, reach out to us. Right now is the time.
Yeah, things are going to, I mean, they're harvesting now, which is great. Things are going to be like, oh, what do I do with all this stuff? So now we're going to have that sort of another year or two of that, and there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but there's going to be like a couple smart people who roll through. I mean, even just like pelletizing it is just like, it's already like worth the investment. You get that pelletizer, you go down, you start buying all the hemp up and start pelletizing it, and then you got yourself a product to put into a bag, and you go like, dude, put that in your fucking stove and see what happens. And they're like, oh my God, it works better than my normal shit. And it's like, yeah, and it's fucking weed, bro. And then they're like, oh my God. Yeah. So it's like, it's that easy. Just like apply it in the right way, and you can actually make a shitload of money, I think.
Yeah. It is, the possibilities with this plant are so endless in fabricating, manufacturing, all the other stuff. So everybody who's got an idea, it's a valid point right now.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, even if you don't know it, you might figure it out later. Like, oh, well, actually, yeah, there's a way. Because, I mean, I use a lot of your, because that original thing I tried to put together, and then I didn't go do it, and then I actually used it a couple times after the fact, refined it and buffed it up a little bit. But, I mean, it was basically about the batteries, like we were talking about graphene, and about just the applications that are being used that are pretty mind-blowing as far as, you know, for 3D printed houses and smart shit that you're like, okay, this is like real shit that doesn't even seem like a big deal anymore, because 3 years ago you're like, 3D printer, it's got a thing, and you're trying to explain it, and now it's just like, they're 3D printers, buy them at Walmart, whatever.
And now we're building entire panels that snap together and can build a house.
And everybody's all like, oh, that doesn't do metal? What kind of 3D printer is that? Like, before,
can you make jewelry?
Yes. All of the little things.
You can do anything you want. But I mean, that's the crazy part is like now, they've even got glass one that they've figured out. I'm like, damn, it's getting to the point where we're like, so we can make anything in metal, glass, you know, all these different components.
And we don't need anybody working, just actuators and filament. It's the craziest shit.
And hemp is such a good medium for that too, because it's like all of a sudden they like, when you use it, you're like, oh wait, this shit. It's kind of like hash, where if you take two pieces of hash and it's the same hash, you just warm it up a little bit, and it's one piece of hash.
Yes.
Same thing with the hemp, where it's like if it's done right, the texture is perfect. Like that guy from Green something. The one I was telling you about, this papers. Green Grow.
Oh, Green Grow, yeah.
Yeah, Green Grow paper guy. He was in plastic, and his stuff was like smooth and like powder coated and looked, you know, it was beautiful. And it was like, damn, that's even nicer than it was.
When we talk about hemp, like people go, well, it could be hemp plastic. People go, well, like, oh, so we got to like transition all of plastic? No, you keep the same machinery, you keep the same system and everything else. The only difference is the solution that you buy, the actual like powder solution that goes into the process is a different product. That's all we're doing here when we transition some companies from their current modern state to what their future state will be, and more sustainability capabilities as well.
Well, you know what? We're going to really try to get Jesse to focus on speaking publicly about certain topics, and just like kind of in the educational way. So I'm sure you'll be involved at some step along the way soon.
Slap him around.
Absolutely. I can't do it without this guy. So.
No, because I mean the thing is, it's also like we said, it's the time, just because of the fact that there's going to be like now solutions to the stream of where the shit comes from, because that's always the biggest problem. It's like, so where are you going to get this hemp from? And it's like, well, people are going to grow it. And it's like, oh, who are you going to get to grow it? Now, got plenty of people that want to grow it. Now they also want to know where it's going to go. And that's we also saw that bottleneck coming up years ago. And I've sat at tables with people who have the money, and they've just been like, yeah, it's like 50 to 100 million just to be like the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After that, you can like, you'll make that in a couple of years, and a couple of years. It's like, well, yeah, there's no, there's
it's not tomorrow.
There's no model yet. I mean, it literally might take 3 years to turn a profit, but you'll be at that point where you're the only guy still, and you're bigger than ever, and all your reinvestments are covered. It's a whole other show. It's a whole other show. We got another whole show. So, but it's nice seeing you guys in town, and obviously we're going to try to get you, we get an apartment upstairs. And just like the 9th guy who said he's going to get one. It happens if you get a place. Nah.
She's been looking, so she may end up having to get a company place out here for us.
I think it'd be good. I think it'd be a great fit. We could be on the show daily. You could get your own show. You can be on my network. You can be on my network.
Yeah. You guys are funny.
Well, real quick, if anybody wants to catch me in Arizona, I will be at the Southwest Cannabis Expo at the Sol Union booth. It's one of our products that we do. This is a neem product that has no oil whatsoever on it. So check us out. Sol Union, it's a really cool opportunity for you to keep your organic farm organic.
And that's what date is that show?
It is the 13th and 14th of October, so it's like next weekend sometime.
Like
everything's next weekend. They booked like 5 different shows in that same weekend.
I know. Because I was going to say, I was supposed to be in Maine, and then I'm supposed to be there. So I think I'm going there.
Yeah, well, I'll be there. So come
there we go. It'll be the hot spot.
Yes, sir.
The hot spot. You'll be there too, obviously.
No, I have trips to go on too.
Yeah. Really? She'll be at a cancer thing, I believe.
Or in Sedona for a TED Talk.
That's right.
Oh, that sounds cool. Way better than our talk. TED Talk.
No, you guys is totally like a TED Talk, for real.
Real talk of real stuff, not just like a stoner, guys. Now, I would love to do a TED Talk. I would do fine.
We will make that happen.
We'll crush that.
Do it, yeah.
They'll do the TEDx anyway.
We
won't be real
we don't
TED.
need TED Talk. We'll have Tap Talk.
It'll be exactly. Oh shit! No one will get sued on that. Exactly the same font.
X Talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Tap X. All right. Well, big shout out to my beautiful wife Cece, who was upstairs making lots of noise with Nick. I'm sure because Nick was. I can hear him. Now he's quiet. I think they're gone. Right?
Yeah.
They're on their way home. I'll be back there. Cook din-dins. Shout out to Ace. Shout out to the boys. Shout out to everybody who listened to the show. And we'll be on next week. And in 2 weeks, let's see, next week I'm not sure. I know we have the Punkin guy. I'm not 100% sure of everybody else. But in 2 weeks I got Subcool on the show, which is going to be interesting because it was one of those weird, like, hey, you guys have never been on the same show. And it's like, no, not really. We kind of had some weird beef back in the day, but I guess it was just an illusion. Yeah. We're going to find out what that beef was. Nice. They made a song about me, so there was a little beef there.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it was like I was actually in a sort of Eminem remix of
I got to see this.
Blowing Smoke in Adam Dunn's face. I don't know. We'll figure it all out. It's cool. I don't give a shit. I'm always about it. I'm going to go on their show, too, so it'll be like I have to come up with I have to make my own song. Oh, they'll be.
I'll come up with the beat. I'll beatbox the whole thing.
Okay, there you go. Even better.
We'll go cheap.
So 2 weeks Subcool on the show. That'll be dope. And then I'm not sure next week, but I think it's actually a pretty crazy month. That's for sure. We know that. Maybe. Oh, Grow Life. There you go. See, because Grow Life is supposed to be on this week. So definitely Grow Life, but there's going to be some more guests. We'll mix it up. See you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Later. Peace.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden songs.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it